In this world, there's two kinds of people, my friend. Those with loaded guns and those who dig. Broadcasting from a Montana wilderness fortress at the headwaters of the Missouri, this is Matt Christiansen Live.
Senator, you have been very vocal about this for a very long time. You've been unflinching in your scorn for Graham Plattner. You suck.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah. I'm like, bro, you are an accused rapist. You know, no one cares what you think. A guy that spent 10 years in Kick, the Predator's Paradise.
He touched young people.
P. Hustle, bro, you will only be remembered as the accused rapist. That's your legacy, bro. Bernie Sanders needs to apologize to the voters of Maine.
He's absolutely right.
Pushing these communists and these kind of awful anti-American people.
Get out from America.
The trash took itself out tonight. Adios, trash bag.
Fucking hound, bitch!
You are fake news.
Be gone!
I'm glad he's dead.
Very fake news.
Go back to where you come from, okay?
We're about to ride the D.
I doubled the size of it, you dumb person. Who gives a crap? I don't care!
All right, America, go to the YouTube right now.
Duct tape all over the place. It's a disgrace.
All right, go.
In 5, 4, 3.
I can't do it. We'll do it live.
Fuck it, we'll do it live!
Hello and welcome to the show. This is Matt Christiansen Live, a proud duct tape production for Sunday, July 12th, 2026. Thank you for tuning in. Sitting shotgun tonight in his usual Sunday seat is the highly regarded Matt Palumbo. Welcome back.
Good to be back.
Breaking last night, Lindsey Graham, the senior senator from South Carolina, has died. His office says it was an abrupt illness. We did get a little bit of additional information from the medical examiner in D.C. a couple hours ago. They're saying some sort of tear in his aorta, the artery that comes out of your heart. 911 dispatch referenced cardiac arrest. Don't know exactly what happened here, but it sounds like some sort of heart failure thing for Lindsey Graham. Or it was the CIA with the heart attack gun, whatever.
I'm waiting on Candace Owens' take to get to the bottom of this.
My sources say AIDS has been eliminated from it was not AIDS that got him. We've ruled that out, at least officially. And, Matt, this is the one suspicious death we do know that Israel is not behind. Israel did not. We can rule that out, too. Israel is not behind the assassination of Lindsey Graham, although that is exactly what Israel would want me to think. That's what Mossad would have me believe. So
I'm so into 5,000-dimensional chess. I think Israel is behind the people who blame everything on Israel because then it's the boy who cried wolf, but for Israel. It's like, I mean, it can't be they can't be behind everything,
Somehow,
so
somewhere,
I'm at.
They're behind this. We'll figure out exactly how. A great guest tonight, Tristan Leavitt, is the president of Empower Oversight, and he's representing DEA whistleblower David Howell, who is alleging what you can call fentanyl fast and furious, the DEA allowing fentanyl trafficking from the Mexican drug cartels into the U.S., just watching it happen, millions of pills. They tracked the paths of these pills, and then whoops, they lost track of the pills. And then we had like 100,000 annual fentanyl deaths, overdose deaths in this country. So Tristan will have the details of that story, which I posted a video on a couple of weeks ago. And this one is every bit the scandal, as we'll talk about, as Fast and Furious and some of these other Fed walking scandals like that. But as Tristan will explain, the different, like Fast and Furious, we did have the murder of the one Border Patrol agent, but a lot of the guns stayed in Mexico and victimized Mexicans. In this case, we have potentially thousands of overdosed Americans as the feds were watching the pills being trafficked through New Mexico. So the scandal is gigantic. It hasn't really caught fire yet, but I hope that they're able to bring some attention to this story because it's absolutely crazy.
To give credit where it's due, you booked this one, not me. So,
well,
you
did
did some very highly regarded booking work.
You know, this was really cool because I don't name names on the stream without permission, but as a result of that video, the connection was brought to me, which was really cool. It always is very humbling when the video brings the guest to you, which I was lucky to have in this case. So glad that worked out, and we'll get to that in the second half of the show. But don't discredit your own highly regarded work. You've had a great track record of bringing guests to the show. Yeah. We will have more highly regarded Matt Palumbo secured guests in future weeks.
Very soon.
Otherwise, in the news for discussion tonight, all week we had the pretrial evidentiary hearing for Tyler Robinson, the man accused in Charlie Kirk's murder, of course. And we finally heard from his mysterious transgender boyfriend, Lance Twiggs, who does not look very transgender anymore. Certainly doesn't sound very transgender. Hello, I am renowned female Lance Twiggs. Nice to meet you. You hear the guy's voice?
Maybe he got untrooned by the whole situation.
He said that's enough. I'm
no more role playing.
Yeah, I'm leaving. I don't think he ever got into the hormones based on that voice, though. I think he was pretty limited in his efforts.
The only ones who can pass really are the female to men, but then they open their mouth and it's that weird, like squeaky goblin voice every single time, and it shatters the whole illusion.
Sometimes they can get kind of deep, but you're right. It's like there's just a certain frequency. That female shrill never really leaves.
True voice. Yeah.
Several other stories as well. Hannah Dugan, the judge who obstructed ICE, gets a very light sentence with no prison time, just a small fine. Matt will get into that story for us. Muslim countries keep refusing to let a gay cruise dock. The gays have nowhere to go in the Muslim world. They're going to have to come home, I guess. And that crazy bison goring in Yellowstone, in my neck of the woods. I've seen a lot of bison gorings. It's really an annual event around here. But this is probably the most quote unquote air I've seen in a bison goring. And this guy, unlike most of these bison gorings where someone is clearly being an idiot and trying to get a selfie about 2 feet away from a bison, this guy was far away and the bison still tracked him down. So crazy clip. Yeah, this bison was pissed. Whatever happened to him.
He probably had it coming then if it was that personal.
Well, I don't know. We'll get into Hoax Hate to close the show as well. Before we get into all of that, got to say hello to our featured listener-owned business for the evening. That's our friends at Western Razor Company. We know we're being lied to on a daily basis by our government, by corporate media, and by razor companies too. Think about it. Their ads used to appeal to your masculinity. Then they took advantage of your sensitivity with aloe strips. They kept adding blades, thinking you wouldn't notice how clogged they get. And the more they changed, the more plastic and disposable they became. The honest truth is those other razor brands are lying to your face, and our friends at Western Razor aren't going to take it anymore. That's why their safety razors are 100% metal construction, made in the USA and made with integrity. The replacement blades are inexpensive too, pennies each. So you get a great shave and you save money long term because when you buy Western Razor once, it lasts forever. Listeners of this show get a 10% discount on any order when they use promo code MATT10 at checkout. Don't let those other razor brands lie to your face. Go to westernrazor.com and order yours today. Western Razor, the last razor you will ever need. Promo code MATT10. westernrazor.com. Find all the information on all our special offers at mattchristiansenmedia.com/deals. Deals by listeners, for listeners. One piece of housekeeping before we get into the news. As I mentioned on Wednesday, thanks to listener Kyle, we are working on a new Superchat system that not only aggregates all of them for reading, but we'll display them all on the stream as well. So that's all the sources: YouTube, Rumble, Tippy Stream, maybe some additional sources in the future. And it mostly worked on Wednesday, except it didn't actually grab the YouTube chats properly. And I think I fixed it for tonight, so hopefully we will see all the super chats on screen. I've already seen some from Rumble and Tippy coming in, so I know those are working.
Famous last words.
YouTube is still a question mark. Even if the YouTube ones don't display on the screen, I will be able to read. We'll be able to read all of them. We're not going to lose them, so we appreciate your chats. Sorry if they don't appear on screen for tonight. And perhaps you wonder, I know this is a duct tape production. Why don't you test this beforehand, though, not during the show? Well, number one, mostly we do. But number two, thanks to YouTube, you actually can't run Superchats unless the stream is public and live. There is no way to actually send test Superchats unless you're doing a real live stream. So this is one case where we actually kind of have to test it live, unfortunately. But it might be a little bit annoying and inconvenient for the next couple shows. But on the other side, I think we're going to have something really slick. And I really appreciate listener Kyle's effort in building that. As always, we won't lose your chats. If I do miss your chat, email me. I do offer refunds, and we appreciate your support for the show. Thank you for patience with the tech.
I'm impressed with the duct tape.
Unironically, we'll do it live.
Yes, Bill O'Reilly style.
Exactly.
All right, breaking early this morning, Senator Lindsey Graham died unexpectedly just after 2 a.m. Eastern. Lindsey Graham's office released a statement that reads, it's very brief. What does the statement say? On the evening of Saturday, July 11th, last night, U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham passed away from a brief and sudden illness. Senator Graham's family appreciates prayers at this time and asks for privacy during this incredibly difficult period. Now, when they released the statement, there was no further specification or detail on what happened. His office said it was a sudden illness. On 911 dispatch, you can hear D.C. emergency responders discussing cardiac arrest.
EMS 6 responders present intercept at 7 on scene, cardiac arrest, South Capitol Street, Southeast. EMS 6 responders present intercept medic 7 with cardiac arrest. 73-year-old male.
He's 71. They called him 73 there. He just turned 71, but yeah, what's the difference at that age, I guess? Just a few hours ago, the DC medical examiner released some preliminary findings. The preliminary findings are, oh, wrong story here. Here we go. A quote, aortic dissection, or that's how I say that, right? Dissect? Like it's a frog in junior high science class.
The next word, though, would challenge me.
Okay, here we go. Aortic dissection due to arterial sclerotic cardiovascular disease.
Well done.
I don't know.
I think.
Scientists can tell me.
I'm kind of dumb on this, but I think you got it.
That is a tear in the inner layer of the aorta, the artery leaving the heart. So pretty serious condition, obviously fatal in this case. For as much as I don't and didn't like Lindsey Graham on many policy issues, most significantly on foreign policy and his appetite for war and sending our blood and treasure overseas, I do think it is worthwhile to remember people's best moments. And Lindsey Graham did have some good moments, some very good moments. I think his best moment, as we were discussing before live, Matt, was his defense of Brett Kavanaugh. Remember, Lindsey Graham was chairman of the Judiciary Committee during the entire Kavanaugh show in 2018. But here was that moment.
What you want to do is destroy this guy's life, hold this seat open, and hope you win in 2020. You've said that. You've got nothing to apologize for. When you see Sotomayor and Kagan, tell them that Lindsey said hello, because I voted for them. I would never do to them what you've done to this guy. This is the most unethical sham since I've been in politics. And if you really wanted to know the truth, you sure as hell wouldn't have done what you've done to this guy. Are you a gang rapist?
No.
I cannot imagine what you and your family have gone through. Boy, y'all want power. God, I hope you never get it.
Still shouldn't have voted for Sotomayor and Kagan, though.
No, so it was very, yeah.
Not something to brag about.
I know admitting this is almost as gay as Lindsey Graham, but I almost get emotional watching that because it's not just Brett Kavanaugh. I mean, it was in an environment where you can destroy a man with an allegation, and oftentimes an anonymous allegation. I remember during the Kavanaugh circus, MSNBC and CNN were running stories of allegations from like postcards. They're like, Brett Kavanaugh raped me, mailed to CNN. And they were running that as a serious story. And they were all nonsense. I mean, I don't think anyone watching this needs to be convinced the Christine Blasey Ford story was BS, but just to jog people's memory, she was at a party, leaves the party. Cell phones didn't exist, but somehow was able to call the ride home and then left her friends in the rape dungeon with Brett Kavanaugh. Like, it made no sense. And it's been enough years where we can just say she sounds like a retard when she speaks. I do too, but only like 5.
In the hippocampus.
I mean, I do like 5% of the time, but that's still not a lot. So no, and it was just like, and I don't. I'm not trying to go to bat for like Graham Plattner here, but the reason, when
Graham is based. Rape in self-defense is based. We defended Graham on Wednesday.
Yeah, but here's the thing. When the media or the Democrat establishment appears to do something that is for the greater good or the right thing, they're doing it for their own self-interest. And that, did every single opposition team just miss this stuff? Or was it something they had in their back pocket and they knew if the odds were not looking good for Graham, okay, we can deploy this to get him out of the race? And
that lady's story to me is just as preposterous as Christine Blasey Ford's.
Yeah.
She needs to go to police and get him charged with rape. It's a 20-year statute of limitations. Yeah. You're accusing him of rape and you're not going to pursue charges? What are you, a psycho?
Yeah, that, and then, and my theory of they did it because they thought it would help them is being borne out in the evidence. I mean, I know that betting odds are not gospel. I don't recommend gambling, but the line on call sheets, it's not Collins versus Plattner. It's which party will win, Republican or Democrat. It was after the first scandals, it went down to something like Plattner was in the 30s, Collins was in the 50s, or I guess he must have been in the 40s then. It's gone. The second this rape scandal broke, the odds of the Democrats winning went up, meaning the market is pricing a non-Plattner Democrat is more likely to win than Plattner.
Yeah, so well, here's the arc. Plattner will become so enraged by how he was just he had the nomination wrongfully taken from him. He will actually ally with John Fetterman. P. Hustle and Based Frankenstein will be hand in hand, and they will leave the Democrat Party and join the Republicans out of pure spite. And the Senate will be out of Democrat power. As well, it's not like Graham Plattner's going to make it to the Senate anyway, at least not fantastic. Right now. But yeah, I don't know. Graham Plattner, who knows what's going to happen to him in the future? But you're right that the Kavanaugh stuff was in many ways, I think it's very similar to what happened with Graham Plattner. And just to be clear, Brett Kavanaugh actually had nothing in his history that suggested he was a bad guy. Graham Plattner does. Okay, the marital infidelity is bad. The alcohol abuse is bad. The tattoo, some may think is cool. It's probably bad.
Not ideal.
But Graham Plattner looks like he's been kind of a screw up for most, if not all, of his adult life. Brett Kavanaugh was not. And with Brett Kavanaugh, I get why it still is sort of emotional to watch. Remember how Brett Kavanaugh was emotional, and that's the thing they did to him. And Lindsey Graham stood up against, rightfully, and should be praised for still, is that they were going to accuse him of this insane rape that's so far back you can't really defend yourself on certain terms. And then when he gets a little bit emotional in defense of himself and his family, oh, look at this guy. He's unhinged. He doesn't have the temperament for the bench. So you're going to attack a guy with the most emotionally damaging stuff possible. And then if he cracks just a little bit, you're going to say he lacks the temperament. Yeah.
Listen, I will preface this by saying I totally understand there are women who've gone through sexual assault or rape and have a reason to not come forward. But suppose these allegations played out with any other crime, where Brett Kavanaugh was going to be a Supreme Court justice, and I come forward and I go, hey, that guy stole my car 25 years ago. Isn't everyone going to go, what? 25 years ago? And so you didn't report it? What are you talking about? Like, if it was any other type of crime, you would immediately say, okay, but why now? Like, how do you justify not reporting it back then? And I get this is a little bit different, but I don't know.
Well, it's because it weaponizes sympathy with women. Women are equal in all regards, but they're owed extra sympathy and extra belief. Yeah. So, equal at everything except for they don't get the same responsibilities and they enjoy extra benefits. Other than that, equal.
Totally equal.
Do you buy into any of the Lindsey Graham tinfoil going around? Now, speaking of prefacing conversations, I don't think there's anything inherently suspicious about a 71-year-old man having some type of heart failure, even suddenly without obvious signs of unhealthiness leading up to that. And I think the most likely explanation here is that he died exactly of what is a leading cause of death, which is heart problems. And sometimes those can strike suddenly. And I'm guessing that's probably what happened in this case, just by the numbers. But should we indulge in the timing just a little bit? So Lindsey Graham had just returned at the end of the week from Kyiv in Ukraine. And some speculate that perhaps the long air travel was a factor because that can have impacts on blood clotting and all that. So maybe the trip itself was a part of what happened to him. But he was in Ukraine discussing a plan to end the war with Ukrainian President Zelensky. Now, why would Zelensky and or Ukraine do something bad to Lindsey Graham, since he was one of the biggest allies of Ukraine, one of the biggest shills, if you're a critic, for Ukraine in Congress? Some people are speculating maybe maybe the Ukrainians wanted to make it look like the Russians did it so that the Ukrainians could continue the gravy train. They don't want it to end. They don't want or maybe they just don't want the war to end. So we got to take out Lindsey because he's trying to broker a deal to end the war. Or maybe Russia did do it, or as we saw at the Ayatollah's funeral, or his whole week-long death event in Iran this week. There were people in Iran putting up pictures of Lindsey Graham with crosshairs on his forehead, or maybe, like I said at the top of the show, maybe the CIA just got him with the heart attack gun for reasons we don't understand at all. But do you buy any of the tinfoil here? You think that maybe there's foul play?
Dude, we're at a point where conspiracies don't even need to have a point anymore. There just has to be a conspiracy. Like, I saw that Ian Carroll retard was talking about the Trump ballroom and about how, like, you don't want to know what they're going to use the basement for. And I'm like, oh, can you tell me? Like, is it okay,
it's the new Comet
so I guess
pizza or what?
There's a conspiracy. There's going to be something there.
Pizza?
Can you give me a hint on what you maybe think it is? Or am
Yeah.
I just supposed to go, wow, good point. You could use a basement for something nefarious. No, my stance is I don't think there's anything more here unless there's money in it, in which case I'll pretend.
Well, I haven't seen any information to say that there's foul play. If there's evidence of foul play.
On a serious note, there is none, no.
I'm going to believe that a 71-year-old man had a heart problem. That seems like the most obvious explanation. And could I believe that foreign actors would want to take out Americans for strategic reasons? Certainly. They talk about it all the time. Mm-hmm. I just don't see, like, who is the person with the motive and the capability? Because Ukraine doesn't want to do it. Israel wouldn't want to do it. He was in Ukraine, so if it happened, it would have been in Kyiv or on the plane from Kyiv to DC, because I think he was only in DC for a few hours.
Yeah. Well, like
and
when
then he died.
When Russia kills people, it's they shoot down your plane or throw you out of a building. If it's Israel, it's either like Looney Tunes or totally untraceable. So it's not really in those categories unless
he didn't get the pager that blew up on his hip or anything like that.
Nothing there. Yeah.
Well, as far as what happens with replacing Lindsey Graham in the Senate, Graham was up for re-election. He had just won his primary. South Carolina Republicans went out to replace him on the ballot with someone else. Obviously, there will be a special primary election in mid-August, and there will be a candidate filing period starting on the 21st, so in 9 days. That candidate filing period will be open for a week. The primary will then be held on August 11th. If there's no majority winner, as in 50% plus, there will be a runoff on August 25th. Republican Governor Henry McMaster will appoint a replacement to serve in that seat for South Carolina for the rest of the year. The new senator will be sworn in early January. And the list of potential replacements has some real landmines to avoid. I'm getting listen, I didn't like Lindsey Graham in the Senate. All right. Well, first on the list, okay, I might miss Lindsey Graham next year. First on the list, outgoing Congresswoman Nancy Mace.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No! No!
Fresh off her overwhelming loss in the governor's race. You just did a segment a few weeks ago about her political career being dead. Now she's implying that she's back. So she posted a tribute to Lindsey Graham early this morning, and then 2 hours later, she posts a clip from The Godfather Part 3.
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
And it's
a guy dying.
Yeah, who's they? Who's hoping for Nancy Mace to run?
No one.
It's a thoroughly ratioed tweet. Nobody wants her to run, but she's acting like people do. And so if that option is worrisome, well, it's not the only one. How about Senator Nikki Haley?
Boo.
She lost to none of these candidates in the Nevada presidential primary in 2024. Now, in fairness to Nikki Haley, she's not said anything about wanting to run. This is just speculation. So Nancy Mace is like, she's throwing her giant jugs right in the ring. Nikki Haley has not done such a thing yet.
Yeah. To be fair to Haley, I can't remember the circumstance, but didn't they have 2 primaries in Nevada and only 1 counted or something? There was something weird that went on.
Trump was off the ballot for some reason or something like that. There was a technical reason why, but she still lost to none of these candidates.
To no one. Her son is very base, though, so maybe he can nudge her in the right direction.
As far as other candidates that are potentially more likely, you have Congressman Ralph Norman, who's closely allied with Trump. You have the governor, Henry McMaster, who is leaving the governor's office. You have Lieutenant Governor Pamela Yvette, who is close with McMaster. She's a little bit younger. She did actually, she crushed Nancy Mace in that governor's primary, but she lost the runoff. So she's out of the governor's race. She might be the person. You have Congressman Russell Fry, and then there's Joe Uli Wilson. Remember him from back in the day?
It's a throwback.
Yelling at Obama. Yeah. So all of these people are potential replacements, some of which are already interested. We will see. But that's all I got on Lindsey Graham. Anything else you want to say before we move on?
I don't, not really, no. I have no input.
Did you see this photo of Mitch McConnell?
He's alive.
It's a made-up tale. It's a total fabrication.
Mitch McConnell's office has provided supposed proof of life after rumors that he was in fact dead or brain dead from Laura Loomer and others this week. Also notable in this photo provided by his office, his wife, Elaine Chao, is not in fact in China. She is in D.C. at the hospital with Mitch. Now, Mitch McConnell also released a statement explaining what has happened to him. He said last month he had a fall, which is why he's been in the hospital. He didn't break any bones or get a concussion. He says he also has a mild case of pneumonia, and he's hoping to get back to the Senate soon.
He died.
Do you believe that?
Not really, no. How could he? I mean, I don't think he's going to die, though, because don't turtles live into their hundreds?
That's true.
So
he'll
be like 250 years old in the Senate. Yeah, he'll be fine.
So I still predict, I said on Wednesday, I think he's dead. I still kind of think, I don't know. I guess this is a real
Maybe it's an old photo, maybe. They've been sitting on it just in case.
In fairness to the photo, the newspaper appears to show the front page of the Washington Post sports section from today. You can see that those are a match. So it would appear that this photo is legit, but I stand by my prediction that come August 4th, the day after the August 3rd deadline, where there will be no special election in Kentucky if the senator needs replacement, early August, Mitch McConnell will in fact be dead. I stand by that prediction, and or he'll retire. I still believe they're running out the clock to get past that deadline.
I think he would still win his election dead. Just given the demographics of the state.
Well, maybe.
It has happened. There was in Nevada, I believe it was. There was a Republican who was running.
Nevada, you East Coasters, dude.
Nevada.
Is that
how you people say it?
Well,
there was.
I don't know if I count as
Nevada.
But we don't say Nevada.
I think in the end state.
You probably say Oregon too. Do you say that?
Oregon.
Thank you. All right.
Is that
totally
right?
Lost. Yeah, Oregon's correct.
Okay. So in the disputed state called Nevada or Nevada or something.
Nevada.
This is way too much time for a pointless factoid.
Yeah.
There was a guy who ran as a Republican. He died and then won anyway. That was what I was trying to get at. Next story.
All right. Well, it's not just Lindsey Graham we have to remember this weekend. Maybe Mitch McConnell soon. We'll find out in early August. It is also Kristi Noem's soon-to-be ex-husband, Bryon Noem, who was busted this spring, of course, by his comically large-chested dominatrix mistress, Shai Sotomayor. Is Shai related to Sonia? I never looked that up.
I have no idea.
Would be
Probably
hilarious.
Not, but
the two were involved in bimbofication, a kink, which for Bryon meant wearing gigantic fake boobs and women's clothing. Kristi is divorcing Bryon after 34 years of marriage, this according to her mom, Corrine Arnold. And so get ready for this one. We will remember Bryon Noem.
I will remember you. So much better than your wife, aren't I?
You're so much better.
Will you remember me?
What if people saw us together?
I don't give a fuck.
Not even if you got recognized?
I don't care.
Don't let your light.
You know what I want?
What?
To be seen with you.
Yeah?
I don't give a fuck about anything else.
Yeah.
It's time we be seen together.
What a good boy.
I will remember you.
Look at those massive jugs.
Just adrift at sea with those massive jugs. I hope Shy treats him well. Although I think Shy has turned on him. That's the nature of this entire conflict, as she exposed him. So where does Bryon Noem go from here?
You can't trust anyone.
Now, if you can't trust your bimbofied dominatrix mistress, who the hell can you trust anymore? And when you say that, though,
guy. It's so
he
weird.
he does. And this is one of my all-time worst takes. Not that I'm a stranger to bad takes. Okay, Mitch McConnell will be more spry than ever come mid-August, and you will rightfully demand that I retract my prior predictions about his death, and I'll have to begrudgingly comply. But back when the Corey Lewandowski rumors, the allegations of infidelity for Kristi Noem were circulating, Bryon Noem was largely a quiet figure, and my understanding was he's just trying to be a good Christian man and keep his family together. Kristi is off being a stupid whore, and Bryon is trying to keep his family together for his children. And even though I do think infidelity is a valid reason for divorce, if Kristi was doing that, and I don't think it was ever proven that she did, it's just highly suspected. But I thought he was a good guy, and that's what he was trying to do. Turns out the reason that Kristi was messing around with Corey Lewandowski, if she was, allegedly.
She was, yeah.
Is because Bryon is a weird, sick degenerate who is already ruining his family.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I think she must have known about this and was kind of, I'm sure they had some sort of agreement of, if you're going to do this, I'm going to do my own thing. And for optics, probably did not want this to come out, so stayed together maybe for that reason or something. But listen, it's got to be embarrassing when you find out that's what your spouse is doing, and it's obviously embarrassing for him too, given the recordings. It's just humiliating for really everyone involved. And
don't get involved with bimbofied dominatrixes if you want to maintain a solid family, is the lesson I learned. But Kristi Noem claimed that she learned of this whole thing with Bryon from that Daily Mail report. She said she was devastated to learn of it. To your point, I don't really buy that.
Ryan Gerdusky had claimed to have sources that confirmed, at least to him, that she had known about it for years. And he's I don't know, in my opinion, a reliable reporter. So,
Well, let's get into the week-long Charlie Kirk murder pretrial hearing. Of course, Tyler Robinson is the man accused in this case of murdering Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University in September. The court hearing is in Provo, Utah. This is not the trial. I know that that's kind of technical, but you have people referring to this as a trial this week. It is a pretrial evidentiary hearing, and that matters more than just in technical terms. It matters what we're actually looking at here, and it matters in terms of the burden of proof. So because this is a pretrial evidentiary hearing, we're not going to see everything. Indeed, the judge doesn't want everything to be publicly viewable, and the burden of proof is mere probable cause. Would a reasonable person believe that A, a crime was committed, and that B, Tyler Robinson probably did it? This is not beyond a reasonable doubt criminal conviction that we will see at a forthcoming trial, if indeed it goes to trial. As of now, it looks like it will, but maybe there'll be a plea deal or something. But yes, this is just the judge determining what pieces of evidence potentially will be used in the trial, and if that evidence is sufficient to satisfy that probable cause standard and go to trial. So among the pieces of evidence submitted by prosecutors, we have video of Tyler Robinson and his car, or at least who prosecutors say is Tyler Robinson, and what they say is his car, on the UVU campus that day. They say he got lunch at Chick-fil-A. There's video of that. Video of, again, who prosecutors say is Robinson climbing onto this campus building, running, and then crawling to a site near the edge. The shot happens. After the shooting, the man runs back across the roof, jumps down. There's the note left for his trans boyfriend, Lance Twiggs, who was still at home in St. George at the time of the shooting. That's 200 miles away in southern Utah. The note said in part, I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it. text messages between Robinson and Twiggs where Robinson admits to doing the shooting, Robinson confessing in a Discord chat, and then the rifle, which was recovered in the woods after the shooting, wrapped in a towel with Twiggs' DNA on it.
That's disgusting.
And what is believed to be Tyler Robinson's DNA as well. Prosecutors say very high probability it's his DNA. Now, I don't know how...
Gross.
What exactly is the DNA on the towel? I mean, I guess if you shower and you dry off, is your DNA on the towel? I don't know.
You bring that towel with you. Yeah.
Anyway, we will speculate no more about what the DNA on the towel might in fact be. But this was also the first time that we heard from this transgender boyfriend of Tyler Robinson's named Lance Twiggs. And we've seen Twiggs, pictures of him in this furry costume before. He looks like a little boy, kind of. Mm-hmm. I guess in the meantime, he became a man, and a very deep-voiced man. As we're talking about, I assume he's given up on the transgenderism. He's not doing that anymore. He's not transitioning anymore. His hair remains long, but the voice suggests he is not doing hormone replacement. So Twiggs says that after the shooting, Tyler Robinson came home and was acting very erratically and then confessed in person, in addition to the confession by note and by text message and by Discord.
When did you first see him on September 11th? So this is the day after the shooting?
Yeah, I saw him when I woke up. Like I said, he was up and around doing a lot of stuff around the house. And then I think I saw him after that message where I said I'll come home and say I'm doing laundry, because I didn't want him going to my parents' house right then when he said there was probably cops outside. So I went back home, and it was just him there, and I said bye to him, and then he drove off. So I just went back to my parents' house.
So he acted erratically. Was he pacing? Was he just sitting down, relaxing?
No, he was walking around a lot.
And that's within the home?
Mm-hmm.
And did he talk about what he had done?
Didn't go into detail. I just asked him in person if what he said was true the night before, and he said it was. I started crying a little bit and said he wishes he hadn't done it, and then kept going around and just doing stuff, I think, to keep himself busy or distracted or something.
Okay. Did he talk about what he was going to do next?
Said that he would talk to his parents or turn himself over.
Okay. Twiggs also described Robinson asking him for a Dremel tool so he could engrave some ammunition before the assassination. I remember
what did it say? The engraving.
You are gay, LMAO.
There were other ones, but that was the primary, right? We also got images of Tyler's text message confession on Twiggs' phone. Now, we had seen a transcript of these messages before, so these are not new, but we do see them on Twiggs' phone, so that is apparently credibility to the claim that they were sent to Twiggs. Now, remember, the point of this hearing is to decide if the evidence is sufficient to proceed to trial. So, again, not a criminal, we're not at trial yet. It's just the probable cause standard. Apparently, there was expectation that the judge would make that decision earlier. The judge did not do that. So he has set a hearing for September 1st for closing arguments for the defense and for prosecutors, and then he will make a decision about whether this will go to trial. I can't imagine a situation in which this does not go to trial other than a plea agreement being reached. But we will find out on September 1st. The Kirk family released a statement asking for a decision on September 1st, so I would bet that's when we'll get one. He does remain eligible for the death penalty, Tyler Robinson does, which prosecutors want. It's possible that we get a plea negotiated to take the death penalty off the table. Tyler Robinson has yet to enter a plea at all. But it's also possible prosecutors aren't even interested in a plea deal at all because they have what appears to be a pretty strong case. And given the public scrutiny on this case, do they want to go soft? So I don't know that it's clear that there's even going to be a plea deal offered or negotiated. It might be a mission firing squad for Tyler Robinson.
Yeah, it's a shame for the defense. They haven't even contacted Candace Owens to get him off. It's
I know you had a highlight list
get out
of
of jail free card.
Your favorite
Yes, I mean, I
claims
think you
debunked.
actually covered a lot of the things that were on this tweet, but this guy, Florida Dad, who I assume is highly regarded, he just went over what are some of Candace's claims that were debunked within the first 2 days of these pretrial hearings, and just to go through them really quickly. Candace said Robinson was never on campus. He was on there at least 4 times. We have that on camera. Candace advanced an exploding mic theory. Well, we found bullet fragments in his neck. She seems to have abandoned that theory and is now like doing the whole why didn't the bullet penetrate him theory, but no explanation of why she flipped theories. She said the Twigs messages were fake. We have them directly from the phone, and Twigs admitting that they're real.
They are weird messages, I will say. People that thought they sounded like Chat GPT.
Well,
they sound weird for sure.
It could have been to try to exonerate Twigs, who had a role in it.
They might have been planned to give him deniability
or something. But to go through the rest, Candace said Robinson couldn't possibly have jumped off the roof. Well, we have videos of that. The guns and ammo would have had an exit wound. He says the ammo used breaks apart inside the target.
I didn't catch that. I saw a lot of people arguing about this on X, so I didn't catch that part of the hearing. But apparently we did get some specifics about the ammunition used. So I don't have that information offhand. But yeah, it apparently was some kind of softer ammo or something.
Yes.
Don't quote me on that. But we did get information on that for those curious.
Yeah. I'm not a ballistics expert, but like everyone else, I don't actually pretend to be. So I won't comment.
I have shot many pork shoulders in my backyard. So I've determined what this was and was not.
But to go through the final 4, so Candace said that he couldn't have sent the messages because he was already in custody, but the messages were an hour before he was in custody. She said it'll be a show trial, but there was actually a number of rulings in favor of Robinson in the evidence. Candace said the person in the video is too tall to be Robinson, but turns out is the exact same height as Robinson, probably because it is Robinson. And then lastly, she claimed that Charlie's parents don't support Erica Kirk, but they were sitting next to each other in court, and Erica was crying at one point, laying into either Charlie's mother or father's arms. So nothing there. But I am wondering, like, how does this... Do her supporters turn on her? Do they realize she was wrong? How does this play out? I think it'll be an interesting psychology experiment going forward. And
I think she's back tomorrow. Tune in to find out, right?
We'll see.
Not that I'm an expert on Candace's schedule, but I believe that's what's going on. Anyway, so the one thing I do want to say is odd, because I know that a lot of the most ridiculous claims are defended by, what are you saying? You can't ask questions? Asking questions is the only thing keeping you free, as Charlie Kirk said. So for people that do find the official story odd, don't believe it, that's fine. Like, I'm not saying everybody is a Candace cultist who has to believe everything that prosecutors are saying without any skepticism or criticism. I do want to emphasize the one thing that I find the most odd, or at least not sufficiently investigated. Maybe it has been and we just haven't received enough information on this, but who are the people and where are they who apparently knew that this was coming ahead of time? We do need more information on this, because remember, September 15th, and in fairness to the FBI, they didn't announce this. This was reported by the Washington Free Beacon with sources within the FBI. Could have been bullshit, I guess, but the posts are not bullshit. This is just whether the FBI was investigating or not. The posts are real, and we need to figure out who these people are. So on September 15th, again, 5 days after the assassination, the report from the Free Beacon was the FBI was investigating at least 7 different people, 7 different accounts that made posts that appeared to predict the murder. At least, this is according to these FBI sources. They're talking to the Free Beacon. A summary of these accounts or these posts. One of them posted on September 3rd. It'd be funny if someone like Charlie Kirk got shot on September 10th. LMAO. Another account posted on August 6th. September 10th will be a very interesting day. Then, after the killing, responded with his own tweet, I plead the 5th. Okay. Responded to his own tweet, rather. That tweet was then reposted by an account that follows who? Lance Twigs on TikTok. Very odd connection. I know we're doing a few leapfrog jumps here, but the fact that there's a connection to Lance Twigs in these accounts is a little bit concerning. Minutes after Kirk was pronounced dead, that reposting account, again, the one that was connected to Lance Twigs, posted on X, we fucking did it. Another account posted 5 days before the assassination. You guys, I have something big to report soon, or something big coming soon. Just be sure to check the news. You'll know it when you see it. Winky face. And then on September 10th, he reposted it saying, well, that's that. Okay. And then another account posted, Charlie Kirk is coming to my college tomorrow. I really hope someone evaporates him literally. Then September 9th said, so this is the day before the shooting, let's just say something big will happen tomorrow. And then it did, and that account locked itself private. Another account posted on TikTok. Tic Tacs are the breath freshener, right? The orange ones are the best. Another account posted on TikTok, Charles James Kirk, Mr. College Dropout, does not know what's coming tomorrow. Be ready. This isn't a threat. It's a promise.
So it's just a random aside. People would always attack Charlie for only debating college kids, like as if that means they're all idiots. But then they would also attack him for dropping out of college.
Yeah,
like,
and also we need people,
yeah.
we need 16-year-olds to vote and all that.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry to interrupt. But.
No, that's fine. I think the evidence presented is sufficient to believe that Tyler Robinson did it. But based on these tweets, I don't necessarily believe, to credit the tinfoil, I don't even think this is tinfoil. This is based on the evidence. I don't necessarily believe that Tyler Robinson acted alone or wasn't coordinating with somebody. This piece of the case absolutely needs some answers, and so far we really don't have any, as far as I've seen.
Another weird thing, too, and this is not like conspiratorial, it's like objectively weird, is the fact that he liked Chick-fil-A. Because remember, like, that was a big thing back in the day, was liberals hating Chick-fil-A and boycotting it and saying it was homophobic and all that.
They get there anyway, though.
It's so good. Yeah.
I think the quality has dropped a little bit, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think it's come down a little bit.
On a quarterly basis, so I don't have,
It's fine. I mean, we're getting
like
Chick-fil-A in Bozeman. I think it's under construction now.
Very nice.
But I only get Chick-fil-A maybe a handful of times a year. But the last few times I've had it, very meh. Like, not terrible. I got one a month and change ago, a spicy deluxe. Or was it just regular spicy? I think it was just regular spicy. There were like 2 pickles on it, dude. And to have a proper fried chicken sandwich, the pickles are key.
I hate
you
pickles.
cannot skimp on the pickles. You say you hate pickles?
I give them to my wife. She loves them. I hate them. So
That's
it's
incorrect.
synergy.
What are you, a psycho?
Yes.
That's what makes
for other
the chicken
reasons.
sandwich.
I'm a psycho for reasons that have nothing to do with pickles on a chicken.
So Chick-fil-A is fine. I will say their shakes are above average. Appreciate those. A little bit behind Five Guys on the shakes, but the shakes are better than most. My only problem with Chick-fil-A shakes, I like the peach one they got going, but the chunks of peach are too big to fit through the straw. So it's a challenge in that one. You need a bigger straw. I can't suck hard enough when I'm at Chick-fil-A. I bet Tyler Robinson can, though. He practiced on Lance Twiggs.
Yeah.
So, anyway, what do you got on Hannah Dugan, the federal judge who...
It's a depressing update. I looked into who the judge was behind this, but to jog everyone's memory... So back on April of 2025, last year, this woman, Judge Hannah Dugan, was arrested by the FBI for, at the time, allegedly, but now we know for sure, directing an illegal alien to exit her courtroom through a side door to evade ICE. Now, who is this illegal alien? His name was Eduardo Flores Ruiz. They never just have a first name and last name. It's like 3 minimum with these people. But he was in the country. He initially entered the U.S. illegally in 2013, was arrested by Border Patrol, removed to Mexico. He then re-entered at an unknown date and time. So in April, ICE, and they were assisted by the FBI, carried out a targeted operation to arrest him at the courthouse. Now, his list of violent criminal charges included strangulation and suffocation, battery, and domestic abuse. So anyway, she helps this guy get out of the court. Then she herself gets charged for doing this. To just kind of get ahead of myself here, he ended up getting deported last November. So she accomplished absolutely nothing. Now, a federal grand jury later indicted her in May, and this was on one count of federal count of obstructing a federal proceeding, and another misdemeanor count of concealing an individual to prevent an arrest. She pleaded not guilty, and the Wisconsin Supreme Court suspended her from the bench. So in December, has a federal trial. She is found guilty on the felony obstruction charge, acquitted on the misdemeanor concealing charge. She then, in January, resigned as a judge because the Republicans there in the state were going to impeach her, branding her an activist judge, as you can imagine. So she at least lost her judgeship out of this. But she faced up to 5 years in prison, and
this is a felony conviction, to emphasize your point. This is not the charge itself is not ticky-tack.
Yeah. So 5 years is what she faced, and what happens last week? We have U.S. District Judge Lynn Edelman sentences her to a $5,000 fine, no prison time, no probation, and cited her public service record and limited nature of the incident. Now, if you know what lawyers can bill for, that might be a day or two of billable hours, depending on where she ends up falling up. Listen, most lawyers are left-wing, so I'm sure she's going to find employment somewhere else pretty easily. And I was wondering, well, how is this possible? Could it be the judge was a little bit biased? So let's look to his history. Again, District Judge Lynn Edelman was appointed by Bill Clinton in 1997. He was a Democrat member of the Wisconsin Senate for 20 years before that. I looked into some of his cases before, and in 1993, he represented a black man who was convicted of a racially motivated attack against a 14-year-old boy. Now, the circumstances is that his black client and his friends were watching the movie Mississippi Burning, and in which I haven't seen the movie. I know you haven't because
it's
your
a
history.
movie.
It's a movie. Apparently, it has a scene where a white man beats up a young black boy while he's praying for no reason. So after they watch the movie, they're outside. They're all amped up on their racial whatever. The black client says to his group, and I'm quoting, "Do you feel all hyped up and want to move on some white people?" They then saw a 14-year-old white boy across the street, and he added, quote, "You want to fuck somebody up? There's a white boy. Go get him." So they then beat the kid up for 5 minutes into a coma, stole his shoes because it's just part of the ritual.
They were sweet Jordans, yeah.
Yeah, they stole his shoes. And, again, this is who he chose to represent as a client. And I know there are people who have this idea that because everyone is entitled to a fair trial, there is something inherently noble about defending a murderer or someone accused of a really horrific offense. And my response has always been, no, lawyers are generally very shitty people, and there's just a very large supply of shitty people willing to represent other shitty people. It is not inherently noble.
Without a lot of experience in the law realm, I'm comfortable speculating that most are chasing a payday over some
They're
sort
horrible
of righteous justice.
Yeah, they believe nothing.
Let's back your mic off just a touch.
Yeah.
We're coming in a little bit
Sorry.
hot. Let's just back it off a touch. Yeah, there you go.
So anyway, well, I shouldn't say they believe nothing. They obviously believe in horrible left-wing nonsense. But I went further into his history, by which I mean I did a Google search and read the first 2 pages of results. In 2014, he ruled that then-Governor Scott Walker's voter ID law violated the 14th Amendment, to which case the Wisconsin Appeals Court said, "What the hell are you talking about? No, it does not," and overturned it and rebuked him.
How? I guess we don't have time to go through his reasoning, but how does voter ID violate... What provision of the 14th Amendment? Is it equal protection because black people can't get...
Apparently.
I don't know. I have to look that up.
Which they've abandoned, by the way.
Oh, wait,
now
no, it does.
claiming,
That is what it is. Yeah, because the next
it has
sentence...
to be it, yeah.
It says...
It's right in front of us.
He concluded that the law was unfair to minority voters because blacks and Latinos are more likely than whites to lack an ID. Okay.
But liberals have abandoned that argument recently. The new argument is that it'll disenfranchise married women who haven't updated their ID. They know that argument is total BS now and no one buys it, so they're pivoting. But back to this judge. So in 2020, he wrote an op-ed accusing Chief Justice John Roberts of undermining American democracy, in which got him censured by the Judicial Council for the 7th Circuit. He also attacked SCOTUS as being a right-wing tool. Then Jonathan Turley, who is like Fox News' top legal guy now, I think, pointed out the irony in the article, and that he's complaining about judges being biased while he himself is showing his bias in this article. So, just this is how it was going to turn out. The judge was a left-wing activist, left-wing stooge, and he
now, just so I understand, he's a federal judge at the time. This is what, an op-ed he wrote criticizing?
Yeah, which I think you're not supposed to do.
That I guess people who are more connected to the legal profession could tell me. That seems out of left field, though. That seems very odd for a sitting federal judge.
Yeah, I don't think you're supposed to. I mean, he got rebuked for it. So
a critical piece of a fellow federal judge, indeed the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. I've just never heard of. Even you remember a few weeks ago, Sotomayor. It was like a month ago. Sonia Sotomayor said some slightly critical things that implicitly were against Brett Kavanaugh. Something like, some people have. She said something in the theme of some people have never faced challenge in their life, implying he's lived very.
Try to destroy him on a national scale.
But she implied
pretty bigger challenge than anything she's ever been.
She implied he's lived a privileged life and never had to deal with anything tough. And even the implication was met with a whole bunch of pushback. And she actually issued an apology for it. And that was just an off the cuff public remark. It was not. She didn't write an essay about how Brett Kavanaugh is a piece of shit. Yeah. Which this kind of sounds like it is. Without reading it, I don't know how.
That's basically what the article was. Yeah,
that's seems odd.
Yeah, and he was complaining about right wing bias, and he was complaining that the Supreme Court is not left wing bias. So, but no, that's the conclusion. Is just the left is always going to protect their own, and we should do the same.
All right. Well, thank you for the update in Hannah. Oh, and you know what? Actually, there's one more thing I wanted to get into in this story, which is I do have the statement from her lawyer, because her lawyer, speaking of crappy people, her lawyer was outside the courthouse in the clip that you sent me, saying that she has actually paid a lot in this case. She has sacrificed a lot, and they're going to appeal the conviction and or the sentencing. Here's, I think it's clip 5 here. Yeah.
She's lost so much throughout this process. The collateral consequences to her were great, and we appreciate that the judge took that into consideration. We look forward to appealing this case to the Seventh Circuit.
She has lost so much. She lost a job and $5,000.
She probably spent 50 on him, though.
Yeah, but what she did to this country was not an insignificant crime. To obstruct federal law enforcement of somebody who has not just entered this country illegally, but committed crimes while he was here. Again, just so I understand, the guy you, Alberto Gonzalez, Diego, Jose, Ramirez, Hernandez.
It's Gonzalez, yeah.
Is that actually in there? Is there?
No,
it's Eduardo.
It's every Hispanic name.
Eduardo Flores Ruiz. He was there. It was a domestic violence incident. Wasn't that why he was at the courthouse? It was a separate domestic violence thing? Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not just a poor man who's trying to make tacos for people and live an honest life. No, this guy was committing violent crimes, and she's obstructing ICE's ability to arrest this guy and remove him from our country, which they did shortly thereafter.
I think, and I'll conclude on this, I think it's important to know that when liberals say things like we support illegals who are here to work jobs that we won't work or whatever, it's not true. Because if we were in a world where we could actually make, like, if I could, wave a magic wand and make things happen and make a deal where, you know what, illegals who are doing those jobs that Americans won't do, which, I mean, I think it's a BS premise, because if you raised wages, Americans would do them. But basically, they have agriculture in mind. Okay, let's just keep those illegals in this deal. But in this hypothetical, we get to deport every other illegal alien. You're still deporting like 98% of all illegals. Like, how many?
What is the ratio to strawberry picker to fentanyl trafficker? I don't know.
Correct. Like, yeah. I think it's less. It's what, 500,000 to 1 million. Maybe we would actually need an absolute maximum if we were to accept that premise. But again, the premise of Americans will not do these jobs is at current wages. And when you have millions of people flooding the labor market, the wages are artificially depressed. So it's a pointless hypothetical.
Well, that's another reason this alliance with the left and illegal immigration has not made sense. Again, go back, listen to Bernie Sanders decades ago talking about how illegal immigration is going to undermine the bargaining power of the American worker, which is correct. That when you make the labor supply greater, especially the underground labor supply that is not subjected to minimum wage laws and the rest, it is going to undercut the earning power of the average American necessarily. More labor means more competition in the labor market, which means the lowering of the price for that labor. But
and then
the heroes
too,
of the working people, you know.
And then if you're a Bernie Sanders style Scandinavian socialist, and you were just summarizing why he at least previously was against illegal immigration, another consequence too to lowering wages for non-illegal workers is, A, the illegals are not paying any taxes, so they're not paying into the pot. But then the American workers who are working legally and paying taxes are paying taxes on reduced wages, meaning the government is also missing out on that opportunity cost. So if you want to fund, Bernie Sanders' Santa Claus list of policies, that also hurts the government in that regard. Not like I actually care myself, but it's something he should at least be aware about, and maybe is, but pretends not to be.
All right, it's time to check in on how badly I messed up the super chat system. We'll see. Before we get into super chat, hey, have you considered joining the MC Club? Well, you should. Here's why. Hey, if you enjoy the show, please consider supporting the show by becoming a member of the MC Club. For as little as $1 a month, you will enjoy a series of exclusive perks, including ad-free videos and podcasts, video calls, and a community Discord server with me and other listeners, loot box giveaways with channel merchandise, your name in the credit roll after videos and streams, and much more. But most importantly, you will help keep the Duct Tape production alive and independent from all those sinister forces of control. Join the MC Club at mattchristensenmedia.com/support. Linked in the description. Okay, I did indeed mess up this YouTube is still not connected correctly.
4.
Even though YouTube is, so YouTube's not feeding into our aggregator correctly. Don't worry, I have them, I'll read them. But I'm going to have to sit down with our friend Kyle and figure this out. In the meantime, what I can do to get the YouTube chats back on the screen is I can go into my scenes here and fix those. So I think, if I turn those on, they should come back in the old way that I had it. We'll see if that works. Sorry to our YouTube chatters that we don't necessarily have those feeding on screen yet, but I'm going to start over on YouTube. We'll knock these YouTube chats out since I missed them in the screen capture, and then we'll move over to Simple Tip where you have the rest of them. You won't be able to see the YouTube ones right now, so I'll knock these out, and then we'll go back and forth like we usually do. VV says Lindsey Graham's moment on the Brett Kavanaugh hearing was top tier. Mm-hmm. I appreciated that moment and pretty much just that moment. Yeah.
Bingo.
That is correct. Now, what was the moment of Lindsey Graham taking that selfie in DC with that enraged
the woman crying behind her? That was also classic.
Was that
Graham.
Kavanaugh? Was that the context for that, or why was she? I can't remember when that happened.
I actually don't remember the context of that, sadly enough.
That was another good Lindsey Graham moment, but they might be basically the same thing. Newbie of Death reviews, shit. Okay. Tombstone is overrated. I'm aware of the movie, and I'm aware of the duel or the standoff or whatever you call it historically, but I've never seen Tombstone. We never reviewed it. Tombstone is I'm your Huckleberry, right? Or am I botching?
I have no idea. We need to bring back a movie segment, maybe like once a month, so we have time to watch it. I watched that movie Obsessed that everyone was raving about.
It is Tombstone.
It was decent. I know it's off topic, but
maybe someday, man. I just only so many hours in the week, but it was fun while it lasted. Let's see. Newbie also says unbelievable etching a casing with a Dremel. Why not use a Sharpie, dorks? Well, I assume. I guess I've never thought about etching ammunition with a Dremel. Is there potential danger in that? I mean, you got a lot of propellant, gunpowder in there. Is there any risk of igniting that gunpowder? I know for people who, it's probably a stupid question. Like, no, you idiot. It's totally safe to inscribe.
You are gay, LMAO.
Onto your ammo. There's no danger at all. I just see like anytime you're applying pressure to an explosive, it's a little sketchy, I would think. Maybe I'm wrong.
Probably.
Ryan Allen, Candace won't acknowledge she's wrong, and she will pivot to different news until maybe one tiny thing she was right about shows up, and she will pounce on it. Now, I have not followed everything that Candace says closely, and I know, like, I hate all parts of this. Based on what I have heard, I don't like it because it doesn't seem based in fact. I also hate, though, that there's a separate army of people demanding that you disavow. Like, if you have not posted in condemnation of Candace, then you're a piece of shit like her. Like, I don't have to watch Candace, and I don't have to condemn.
Yeah.
And what I have heard sounds like, well,
that's incorrect.
There's a lot of that, but I don't have to, it's not something I'm interested in devoting all of my attention to either. I will say, though, for people that listen to my show regularly, if I say things that are provably wrong, evidence comes out, like, again, the Mitch McConnell thing, fine, if he's in the Senate August 15th, please come back and hold me accountable. I do actually expect that. And even if I don't enjoy it sometimes, it is the right thing to do. And it's a good litmus test for whether a person is trustworthy. Are they willing to revisit things that they've said and just say, yeah, I was wrong about that. Or, yeah, I thought this, but it turns out that. If a person is unwilling to do that ever, that's not a person you can trust on anything in the future. That's a person who's interested in stirring up controversial takes for the sake of your attention, not for the sake of the truth. And it should be your expectation of us on this show, despite all the stupid butt sex jokes and all the other nonsense, that we are actually aimed generally toward the truth, not just toward kicks or like gimmicks to gain attention or whatever. Certainly not outright lies.
No.
So I appreciate our audience today and every day, of course. But if I ever do that sort of stuff where I say definitively or say strongly, this is the case, and evidence comes out to the contrary, please send it my way and challenge me to correct the record, because I do want to do that. I think it's important to do that. I'm not out to mislead. And I think many people, probably Candace included, but certainly not limited to her, are kind of out to mislead. They just want the attention. They don't want the truth.
Candace got me in trouble once. I was on her show like 3 years ago talking about George Soros, and then she was like, you know, like, I just get this feeling that like George Soros' main idol in life is Adolf Hitler. Do you think he really likes Adolf Hitler? And I'm like, he's in my head, I'm like, he's fucking Jewish? Like, probably not. But I'm like, you know, I haven't, encountered any evidence of that. But obviously, when he was a kid, he did do blah, blah,
So
blah.
You did her show for the book or what? What was the context?
Yeah, she was, I'm not going to lie, she was really cool when I met her.
I've talked to Candace before, too.
Yeah.
And
it was a 10 out of 10 experience. I was telling her, like, a friend of mine has a crush on her, and she's like, oh, call him right now on FaceTime. Let's talk. So, of course, I call him up, and he's like all starstruck. And I don't know. He was like a really... it was one of his favorite moments, he told me. So, I don't know, I felt like it was a really cool experience. It's honestly kind of sad to see where she's gone from that.
Well, and it's not as though people can't recover and can't be redeemed. You have to have the freedom to make mistakes in this arena, or anybody who wants to speak publicly has to have that freedom. Mm-hmm. Certainly, I would hope for, my own people to give me grace in doing that too. But again, there comes a point where you are challenged on the things that you've said. And if you refuse to acknowledge that maybe you were wrong about some things, you have to question the person's motives at that point. As soon as Candace comes out and says, I was wrong about X, Y, and Z. Okay. I'm not saying you're irredeemable and you can never come back from that. It's just, I need to see a little bit. Maybe she comes back tomorrow and is like, hey, I botched it. Sorry, guys. We'll see. I doubt it, but could happen. VV. Chick-fil-A is a solid franchise, great service almost everywhere I go. I grew up in the ghetto, and even those Chick-fil-A's were good. Now, even though I think the quality has dropped a little bit, I will say the efficiency is remarkable. The way they manage their drive-thru. I will say the politeness of the staff is remarkable. My pleasure. I've never had like an a-hole staff member at Chick-fil-A.
They screen however they're screening their employees works. My first job was Dunkin' Donuts, and it was hiring really from the bottom of the barrel. And when I'm like 16 years old, I just assumed that that's what society is like. Like every adult has a drug problem that you work with. So I would be working there thinking like, how does every company function? Like how is Coca-Cola functioning when all their drivers are probably on heroin? Like that was my actual thought at that age, given who I was working with. But my point being, if I was working around Chick-fil-A employees, it would have been a much better experience than who I was around at that age.
Christopher Walls says, I worked at Chick-fil-A for almost 5 years total. 2 pickles is and always has been the standard? Dude, then I guess I have false memories because this was bullshit. If you want more, ask for extra, but 2 is founder's orders. Maybe I have false memories, or maybe the pickles were larger. I guess I haven't, in the past, I never took apart a Chick-fil-A sandwich and inspected the pickle count. This was the first time I did because I got a bite of the sandwich. In my head, I'm thinking, where the hell's the pickle? Yeah. And I opened it up and there were 2. Now, I'm not saying you're wrong. You're probably right. You worked there for 5 years. What the hell would I know? I guess I never noticed, or I'm thinking maybe the pickles are smaller now. These were like
it's pickle shrinkflation.
Yeah, these were like McDonald's quality, tiny little pickles. They were not solid. Yeah. But I'm sure you're right, Chris. I guess I just have like a false Chick-fil-A memory, or maybe it was more in my head 5-6 years ago than it is now. I will say the best fast food chicken sandwich I've ever had is actually Popeyes. I had one of their spicy chickens the first time that was done to perfection. Amazing. The spicy sauce, the pickles, the chicken was great. And then every other Popeyes experience I've ever had has been terrible. And I go to Popeyes in Montana when we used to have it. All right, I'm not going to Popeyes in like the deep south where you might get in a chair fight if you request extras with your order or something.
So for the record, you prefer big pickle?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
You are gay, LMAO.
I prefer big pickle at Chick-fil-A, and I suck hard when I'm dealing with the shakes.
Peach shake.
Yeah.
Glad we got that on the record.
Aaron Vineyard. My second child was born yesterday.
Awesome.
Well, we congratulate you for that.
We love you. You're very special.
Now that we have 2 boys at home, what advice would you give for dealing with a second child? I've heard that going from 1 to 2 is the hardest and would appreciate your thoughts. Well, congratulations to your family and God bless you. I will say that, my boys are almost 5, 2.5, and we have a baby who will be 1 in September. Yeah. And I think, fortunately, we're able to keep our boys in our home with their mom. We're not doing daycare or anything like that. I think that's the biggest challenge that's most important for families. If you can keep the kids with their mom, that's ideal. Not that everybody can, and not that there aren't acceptable situations otherwise, but that should be the number one goal. If you can do that, I think the hardest thing that I've noticed probably as it relates to, you're not dealing with a middle kid here, but I think some of the same ideas apply. Now that you introduce a second kid, sometimes the other kid will feel like they're being left out, or they don't get the one-on-one attention that they did before. It's very hard for us given the ages of our kids, but if you can find ways to work in things that you do with just that kid, like for example, I set aside time to play Xbox with my oldest son once a week. We do that just us. Sometimes middle brother will hang out, but it's mostly just us. I have a little game I play with just our middle kid, spinning him around the room. He loves to do the spin. He doesn't get dizzy. He's immune from it.
That's cool.
But my older son is too big to do that now. He still wants to do it, but you're too big, dude. You're like 50 plus pounds. I can't swing you around anymore. I'm going to ruin my back. So just, if you can just find little things to do specifically with that kid, so they have something that's kind of their own with mom and dad, I think that's kind of important. But other than that, like, hey man, you're growing your family, just keep your family together, and you're already doing 99% of it right. So congratulations and God bless you.
Very cool.
You guys, not to put you on the spot personally, but you guys think about more kids in the future, or you?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
It's just a question of when, like how old should our daughter be before? We're thinking maybe 2 years old.
We've done pretty much exactly 2 years between all our kids, and God willing, that's what we'll keep doing. But it's tough. But
yeah,
I would like all our kids to be roughly similar age. I think it's kind of hard too, where you might have a kid that's 15 and then a newborn or something.
Yeah, it's a bit much.
They're siblings, but how much do they really do together?
Correct.
At least when they're young.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to leave YouTube here. We'll come back to YouTube later. Let's check in on Rumble and Tippy. So I have Yakko first. Is that what you have?
Yes, but there's one that mentions me, so I want that one.
Okay, go for it.
All right. Ski. Shout out to the highly regarded Matt P for the weekly Norm Macdonald references. Keep them coming. I don't even plan them. They just come spontaneously depending on what we're talking about. So I'll hopefully get one out in the next hour.
Thank you, Ski. Yakko. Initially, there was speculation the Russians used poison to kill Senator Graham, as they have a history of such a thing. It's one thing to kill a defector, but would they really risk killing a senator? That's true. If you could show that it was Russia, I mean, don't you kind of have to go to war over something like that if they are killing your government officials?
Probably, yeah. Which I don't think Russia wants, so that would be an argument against.
It's a big gamble for not really an obvious payoff. Like, is Lindsey Graham really the broker of peace more than, say, Donald Trump? I don't know. Like, does Russia gain a ton? Lindsey Graham is the thing that's going to make Russia buckle.
Yeah. I mean, the Ukraine funding has been bipartisan overwhelmingly.
Yeah.
So it's not just him. Yeah.
Newbie of Death is over here as well. If you read this,
You are gay. LMAO.
you know, back when this happened.
Notice you took that one out of turn. Why would that be?
Oh, sorry. I jumped to it. Yeah.
No,
I'm
it's because
sorry.
you're gay.
No.
Anyway,
when that first happened, I go back. If you can go back and listen, after what happened with Charlie Kirk, I said I have moral hesitation with using this button, given the context.
Yes.
And yet, it's one of the most commonly used buttons on this show, which makes me a degenerate, I guess. Speaking of holding me accountable, why have I backed off my higher moral standard of not pressing the You Are Gay LMAO button? My compromise was I'm only going to press it in its context and or because somehow it's more morally acceptable to press it in response to super chat prompts. I don't know why, but
That's what
I don't
Charlie
know.
would have wanted.
Do you think it's poor taste, or do you think you just lean in? What would Charlie want? Would Charlie be okay with me
I
pressing?
don't know.
the
I feel
button?
like we're kind of appropriating it. We're taking away its power by making it a right-wing meme. Anyway,
I didn't know Charlie. I would like to think that he would not be bothered. I don't know.
I don't think so.
If it happened to me, hey, if I got killed and that was part of the story, I would not be mad at people for carrying on the piece of the story. But
yeah. Anyway, also, if I'm killed, it was definitely a leftist, not some. Weird
there was a great
conspiracy.
tweet I saw. I think it was from Jeremy Kaufman, the guy at the
I think I know which
Libertarian
one
Party,
you're referencing.
where he said, like, if I'm killed by Mossad or
You blame Antifa or something.
please
to
come
that
up with
effect.
conspiracy theories to blame the left.
Yes, I saw that one.
That was pretty funny.
It was good.
I kind of feel the same way. If Mossad gets me, let's worry about Antifa.
You can't beat them, but you can beat Antifa.
Yeah, we can get the
probably,
commies, all right?
You can get the commies. Long Don John. If Graham Plattner ran as a Republican, how long does his candidacy last? The left didn't give a shit until they got Blasey Forded. They're still defending even his Nazi tattoo, and we should make sure they never forget it. That was a weird thing. I mean, it was a decade of punch a Nazi, Trump is Nazis, Republicans are Nazis, and then you have someone donning the most popular Nazi symbol after the swastika. And I think the New York Post described it as a tattoo that resembled a Nazi symbol or something to that effect. There was somehow plausible deniability here. As for if he ran as a Republican, I mean, the counter argument liberals will give is, well, Donald Trump was accused of blah, blah, blah harassment, but they were all laughably false. I mean, to be fair with Graham Plattner, these don't seem like... I mean, all the women coming forward, it just seems like he was a really shitty boyfriend. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, other than the rape accusation.
Yeah.
But the rape accusation, I don't buy. I think it's total bullshit.
She was okay. So someone found, I guess on Facebook, there are surprisingly large groups of women, and the
group chats talking about dating Graham.
It'll be like, are we dating the same guy?
Yeah.
And they'll post a picture of the guy they're with, and it's never a guy that's probably good enough looking to be dating multiple women. But anyway, Plattner was in multiple of those groups, and the rape accuser was commenting about him, but just saying things like, "Oh yeah, I've been with him in the past," not like, "Hey, look out, he raped me." That never got mentioned. So a little weird. And I'll just leave it at that.
They needed that button in the chat.
Did Graham Plattner rape you?
Probably should have discussed it then.
Yes.
Skulldugger, during the hearing for the Honorable Justice Kavanaugh, I remember saying that when Lindsey Graham is the adult in the room, you are in a bad room.
Bingo.
Yes.
I agree with that.
Skull, too, I think, fixed the problem I was having where my keyboard never worked when we were on Zoom for some reason. So...
we'll see how long that lasts, but we appreciate his contributions to the
an hour and a
duct
half
tape.
so far. So,
yeah. Friendly neighborhood Fed.
Fed.
Oh wait, you're up. I shouldn't jump you. You're up.
Sorry, I was reading a different comment.
Why don't you just grab both of his because he has two.
All right, so your neighborhood friendly neighborhood Fed. Rest in peace, Lindsey Graham. I met him once 8 years ago at a campaign event in my home state shortly after the Kavanaugh hearings. May have disagreed with him, but he was a good fighter to have on your side. Unrelated, but Matt and I went to a soccer game, and it was gayer than all that Matt and I once made love chats combined. Seriously, Lo, if you watch soccer, you are a gay homosexual. And then another comment pointed out the SS tattoo is actually probably the second most common Nazi tattoo. Okay, third to 10th most common for the Totenkopf. I'll hedge myself.
Where did I put that button? That was such a good one that I had for so long. Hold on. The one where he says, I am a gay homo. I love that one. Here it is.
I am a gay homosexual.
That's what you sound like when you go to a soccer game. All the memes about Belgium being like, yeah, we owned the U.S. We do not watch soccer in
You're
the
not even a
US.
real country, Belgium.
Yeah. They make good guns, though. I like their guns.
Really? Oh, yeah. The yes.
FN.
Yeah.
But, okay, thank you, Mr. Fed.
And then we got Hallway Twerkman.
Hottie Twerkman.
Hottie Twerkman.
Yeah. Matt C. can't choke chicken without getting lots of pickles. Well, like I said.
I am a gay homosexual.
Okay. We are going to leave our chats there.
I'll have to just circle back with you.
We got to get into our guest segment. Our guest tonight is the president of Empower Oversight, a whistleblower advocacy organization representing DEA Special Agent David Howell. David Howell is alleging what can be called fentanyl fast and furious. The DEA tracked and watched millions of Mexican cartel fentanyl pills trafficked into the U.S., and then they lost track of them, potentially allowing thousands of overdose deaths. We get into that scandal and Empower Oversight more broadly. Segment's about 25 minutes. See you on the other side.
Stand back and stand by.
Attorney Tristan Leavitt with Empower Oversight represents DEA Special Agent David Howell, a 19-year veteran of the agency. Howell claiming that the DEA let fentanyl, quote, walk into local communities in order to build a larger case against drug cartels.
Leavitt sharing that as Howell continued to talk to others, he heard about even larger shipments that the DEA was allowing to go unseized so that theoretically they could watch where they went. Howell telling the AP, quote, through our own willful blindness, we get to say we don't really know what happened to the drugs, but we 100% got people killed.
Welcome back. My guest tonight is Tristan Leavitt, president at Empower Oversight, a nonpartisan nonprofit watchdog for government and corporate wrongdoing. Tristan and Empower are currently representing DEA whistleblower David Howell, whose story on fentanyl trafficking I discussed at the end of June. Tristan, thank you for making time.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So I encountered your organization and I invited you on to discuss David Howell's story with the DEA and fentanyl, and we'll get into that. But before we do, what can you tell me about your organization and your background?
Well, they're both fairly connected. So my first job at the end of law school was working for Senator Chuck Grassley on his Senate Judiciary staff. And he has an investigative unit that all of his investigations are run out of. And so as a little baby lawyer, my first work was investigating Operation Fast and Furious, the ATF gun running scheme. And Jason Foster was the manager that played a key role in hiring me there. And we were both frustrated. I think it's fair to say that the key whistleblower there, John Dodson, wasn't someone that any of these existing groups that we worked with on whistleblower policy that also represented whistleblowers often would take on as a client. They just thought it was too politically explosive. And so that seemed like the situation where someone would need legal counsel more than any other time. So down the line, I left there and helped lead the Hillary Clinton email investigation in the House. And he played a significant role in the kind of exposing Russiagate. He was key to helping uncover the fact that the Hillary Clinton campaign had been behind the Steele dossier. And but when he left the Hill, he started Empower Oversight. And a couple years after that, I came over as the president. And again, it's really just been a continuation of our work and working with whistleblowers and trying to make sure that important disclosures get to Congress and that the people who bring them are protected.
Wow. So you have been closely connected with investigations into some of the biggest scandals of the last decade plus. I had no idea. That is very interesting. And when I heard David's story and I read about it in the AP, to me, the Fast and Furious connections were obvious. I immediately thought this is basically just fentanyl Fast and Furious. In Fast and Furious, of course, the ATF let guns walk and they followed the trafficking with the hopes of getting to the cartel bosses and other people involved in Mexican drug cartel crime. In this case, it sounds like they did the same thing with fentanyl coming from the cartels into the United States. Tell me about David's story, and do you think that Fast and Furious comparison is a good one, or are there major differences between the cases?
Well, it's absolutely a good comparison, and it's actually part of why he reached out to us. So Special Agent Howell contacted us through the original ATF whistleblower, John Dodson, who we've continued to stay in touch with over the years. And we immediately recognized the similarities with Fast and Furious. It is interesting the ways that it's different, and in some ways that makes this even worse than Fast and Furious. In both cases, you had a federal wiretap. So in both cases, federal agents knew ahead of time when transactions were going to take place for these illicit materials to be trafficked. In both situations, you had U.S. attorneys' offices pushing this strategy of not seizing immediately. In Fast and Furious, it was the Arizona U.S. attorney's office, here the New Mexico U.S. attorney's office. And I think in both cases, they really miscalculated the danger to the public. The ATF 15 years ago pointed to the DEA as an example of where the tactic of walking things, so not seizing them even when you have a chance, so that you maybe follow them or take other steps, has been used by the DEA for a long time. And I think they were pretty sufficiently chastised by the public to realize that walking a load of marijuana or cocaine was different from letting thousands of firearms go because of the violence and havoc those would wreak. And so when the two things happened after Operation Fast and Furious, one, there was eventually a protocol developed by the Justice Department headquarters because of our work on Fast and Furious saying, if you're up on a wiretap and you become aware of imminent firearms violence, you need to go and try and seize firearms, stop them from being trafficked. And that same protocol was duplicated in 2019, although I'm kind of learning for the first time in the last day or two that there was perhaps an unwritten version of it or some version of it as early as 2017, the beginning of the Trump administration, saying, hey, fentanyl is not like these other drugs. We need to stop it as quickly as we can. One way that this is very different, I think, from Fast and Furious is that in that case, obviously, the firearms were flowing south. And so even though there were actually a lot of murders that those guns were used for, a lot of people died. Most of them didn't happen in the U.S. They weren't Americans, and so most Americans didn't notice. It wasn't until a Border Patrol agent died that the public really took notice of it. Here, because the fentanyl is flowing north, the majority of people who will have died from these horrible decisions will have been Americans, people right here in our own country where we allowed this awful scourge to continue uninterrupted.
And of course, the scale that of the amount of American deaths that could have happened as a result of this, we don't necessarily know, but it could be massive. We're talking about millions of pills, according to David Howell, that came across the border, traveled through New Mexico, and just went out there. And the DEA's understanding or position is that one pill can kill, and it generally can. We know we've had in recent years 100,000 plus fentanyl deaths in this country. It's come down a little bit since the high in 2022. But when you talk about American deaths, these are practically uncountable, potentially, the deaths that could have resulted from a policy like this. Is that fair?
It is, and they are, in fact, literally uncountable. Just forensically, there is no way to trace where the fentanyl went exactly. It wasn't surveilled beyond these stops. And so from there, unlike a firearm where you can trace a serial number where it's recovered and see where it came from, there's no way to know exactly, if you end up at a fentanyl overdose, where that was trafficked from, where it came from, other than kind of broadly to say, well, here's some ingredients. We think this came from Sinaloa cartel or others. But fundamentally, there's no way to know exactly all of this fentanyl that was walked, where it ended up in the country.
Why do you think, and this is just my opinion, that this has not reached the level of scandal in the public mind that, say, Fast and Furious has, or other scandals that you've investigated? To me, this one seems a little quieter, and maybe it's just because public reporting on it is a little newer. Maybe people just don't know yet. But when we're talking about the scale of death that is potentially linked to this, why is this one not a big deal just yet? I suppose that's what you're working on.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of reasons for that. One is that we are very early. I think, the reporting around Fast and Furious was fairly limited in the first 2 weeks. A second reason is that in that case, you obviously were dealing with the administration that, was pushing the policy. Whereas here, it's a past administration. Although there are some changes that still need to happen, I think that makes it less immediate for people. I think a lot of people assume, and hopefully they are correct, that the Trump administration will pretty quickly change back to the 2019 era fentanyl policy, as opposed to one that, as I'm sure we'll discuss, got really gutted by that really undermined or that gutted the 2019 policy in 2024 to become the new Justice Department policy. I think one other final thing that is significant here is that in that case, you had a real kind of battle, if you will, of he said, where right out of the gate, the Justice Department denied that it had ever happened. And Attorney General Eric Holder was, very, very assertive about that. Whereas, we had a whistleblower, and we wrote back very quickly saying we have documents. Here, although the DEA has issued some kind of oddly worded denials, but ultimately asked for Inspector General investigation, in New Mexico, you've got Alex Ubaez just openly admitting, in the Biden administration, this is what we did. And so I think that maybe slightly lowers the stakes, although it should increase the outrage, knowing that they are, that he is very willing to own this policy and the trade-offs that came with it.
Yeah, and I think that's important for people to understand. You've got the confirmation from the U.S. attorney down there in New Mexico, or former, right? He's no longer in that office, I believe. Is that correct? Okay. Yep. But at the time he was. And in the AP reporting, they've got David Howell putting his name to it now, but there are other anonymous sources from within the DEA confirming the story. The AP has reviewed records to confirm David's claims. So this is not a situation where you can say, oh, it's just some crazy whistleblower who has some beef at work or something like that, trying to get people in trouble. There are numerous people, at least one other person, like you said, putting their name to it, and other people presumably wanting to protect themselves, probably still on the job there, I assume. But at least telling reporters, there's a lot to this. This is not a made up thing.
Yeah, that's right. So we were obviously pleasantly surprised about the second individual being willing to speak up. And, frankly, what that second whistleblower had to say is arguably more explosive than what Special Agent Howell observed. His experience was limited to 2023 on a specific set of cases. The pills that he, for it to get kind of over 100,000 pills, he thought was very significant. But after he blew the whistle in 2024, the Justice Department changed their protocol under the Biden administration. And then that final few months there, you get into this case that is referenced in the AP article that was ultimately taken down at the beginning of the Trump administration, but that this second whistleblower says could have been taken down 6 months earlier. And when it was taken down in May of 2025, it was the largest seizure of fentanyl there had ever been in our history, 3 million pills, so the huge record for the DEA. The second whistleblower said not only could this case have been taken down 6 months earlier, that same number of 3 million pills was being trafficked every single one of those months. And we were not following it, and we were not stopping it.
So just so I understand about the status of the policy, you mentioned there was some guidance in 2019 saying, hey, don't do this walking stuff with fentanyl. That changed under Biden 2024. Is the Trump administration continuing to do this? Is that what you're saying? It has not changed back since? It's still status quo of what David Howell blew the whistle on?
Yeah, the policy is still in place, and I think there's two different ways to look at this. One, I mean, this is something that I doubt is at the top of the awareness funnel for the administration currently. It is frankly shocking to me that at the same time that President Trump designated fentanyl as a weapon of mass destruction, the DEA didn't go in, or the Justice Department didn't go in and update that policy. But, they have been very aggressive in trying to target fentanyl, but they have not updated this particular policy. And whether they were aware of it or not, I don't know. What I do know is that New Mexico was always kind of the epicenter of this walking phenomenon, and agents there have continued, and they are not political appointees. So when a new president comes in, they get to appoint about 4,000 individuals. You've got a federal workforce otherwise of about 2 million career civil servants, And so within those law enforcement agencies, very little changes in terms of day-to-day operations outside of those top level appointments. So we mentioned Alex Ubaez. He was the Biden appointed U.S. attorney. He started in 2023. He had to leave in February or March of 2025 when the Trump administration came in and got rid of all the Biden U.S. attorneys. And since then, there's only been an acting U.S. attorney. So Trump hasn't been able to appoint someone new there. The acting U.S. attorney is the first assistant. AUSA is their title. They're the same one that was there during all of this fentanyl walking. So I think you've got kind of the question of, okay, at the top level, what are they aware of? And then at the ground level, what changes would there have been when the exact same people that supported this policy had been in place all along?
If you were that acting U.S. attorney or the former U.S. attorney or someone who's high up at the DEA who's doing the tactical organization of these operations, what's the best you could say for this strategy? I know they got the big bust of the 3 million pills last spring in May 2025. But the goal of the tactic of the walking or allowing this stuff to move while you monitor is to bust the bosses, the higher ups, right? Is there a big scalp that they've claimed, for lack of a better term? Is there a giant arrest or something that we can look to and say, okay, while this tactic was risky, it clearly achieved X. Is there an X?
Yeah, I think that their strongest argument, and I'll explain why I think it's flawed, but their strongest argument is this May 2025 takedown took down the entire network within the United States. So the lead, the head of the trafficking network was somebody that had been trafficking heroin inside the United States in 2009. He was arrested and deported. He came back after that. He was again deported. Somehow, again, he snuck his way back in, and for a couple of years, he was operating this ring, and he actually relocated up to Salem, Oregon, from where he was controlling it. So although the fentanyl was being stored in New Mexico in a storage unit in his name, this is someone that it took the DEA some work to track down. There are some questions as to why they didn't become aware sooner of the storage unit that was being accessed so regularly by the cartel members. But even if you take kind of the strongest argument there that, hey, we took down this individual, we took down this entire network, the kind of two questions you have to ask is, one, was there any other way to do it? And that was always Special Agent Howell's contention is, you are stopping us from doing this ostensibly out of this desire to catch a bigger fish, but more proximately what they're really saying is, we're afraid if you seize this right now, you're going to tip them off the wire, and that will stop us from catching the bigger fish. Well, longtime experienced DEA agents would say, no, there are plenty of other ways to catch this stuff without tipping off your hand to the criminals that you're onto them. For instance, as this fentanyl was being trafficked through New Mexico, into Nevada, Utah, and again, some of it all the way up to Oregon, and that was just as part of kind of the initial acquisition pipeline, if you will. From there, it's distributed further inside of the country, and we don't know how far east it made it from there. Clearly, it's throughout this western corridor, but it was not being followed there. But just looking again at what they did, if they had at least followed it to this point and say, see some of it in Utah or somewhere else, I think the likelihood it would tip off that they were watching these guys specifically as they came through in New Mexico is a lot lower. So again, that's one argument is we could have done a number of things to interdict the fentanyl and still not tip our hand and burn the wire and still allow us to get the bigger fish. The other argument is we could have taken it down earlier. So there was a seizure in November of 2024 of the warehouse where this was happening in Albuquerque, where this was being stored. And I think that's another thing that agents have contended that should have been the end of the case, that they had enough then to take down the kingpin who lived in Oregon and the entire network at that point. The extra 6 months after that, they just say that it was just over cautiousness and resulted again in potentially as many as 12 million pills being trafficked in the meantime that they weren't following anywhere.
So what does accountability look like in this case? What is Empower Oversight and David Howell? What are you guys looking for? I know you're asking for a congressional investigation. Is that the extent of it, or what are your objectives?
I think the top line objective for David, first of all, has been met, which is just to inform the public. And from the time that he first filed the complaint with the Inspector General in 2023, and I guess even before that, he recounted this in his IG complaint, but from his first really contentious meeting with the U.S. Attorney's Office on this policy, he said, I don't think the public is going to view this how you are. You're saying it's worth these risks to not burn our wire. I think the public would view it differently. And so just to have gotten this information out there allows us to have this informed debate that wasn't happening otherwise about the risks and the trade-off to public safety. Beyond that, we certainly are very hopeful that the Trump administration will change the fentanyl trafficking protocol so that when they are up on a wiretap and agents become aware of fentanyl being trafficked, they follow the 2019 protocols to just take every effort to seize it. That doesn't stop them from trying to pursue a broader case, but making sure that they are following it as closely as possible given the deadliness of the fentanyl. Beyond that, the question of accountability kind of splinters somewhat. Of course, we believe that there should be accountability for individuals who retaliated against Special Agent Howell, including those AUSAs who were in the office of Alex Ubaya. Also DEA agents who, even though they may not have loved the policy of kind of having their hands tied, they even more disliked Special Agent Howell speaking up about it. And so they really retaliated against him when he started to come forward and make more noise about that. Ultimately, the question of what accountability there should be for the people that let this happen is a tricky one. In our constitutional system of government, Congress investigates, there are checks and balances, but ultimately federal law enforcement has a lot of immunity for the actions that they take if they are not criminally motivated, if they weren't receiving kickbacks from a cartel or something else. It's a persistent question we received after Fast and Furious. What happened? What's the accountability? And to me, it's the most difficult question to answer because we just don't have a system set up in place to do more than fire employees from the federal government, when often what people believe is that they should end up in a jail cell.
Is there anything about David Howell's case in particular that I didn't ask about that you think is important for people in the public to understand?
I think he's been really struck from the beginning by kind of what the U.S. Attorney's Office response to some extent was. So you've got this fentanyl protocol. In his case, even after this kind of plays out because he makes an initial seizure of fentanyl and he's chastised by the U.S. Attorney's Office. And after that, they apply for a renewal of the wiretap, and Justice Department headquarters asks some very pointed questions saying there are a lot of fentanyl pills involved in this. In that case, 6,000 or 7,000. Obviously, it's magnitudes, it's whole scale higher in some of these later cases. But the U.S. Attorney's Office really kind of glosses over that, and one of the things that they have kind of brought up multiple times is, well, you don't know for sure that it was fentanyl. And that is true, that you don't always know for certain. When criminals are talking, they often use coded language to talk about the drops they're going to do or the sales. But one of the things that he has noted from the beginning is that willful blindness isn't the defense. If someone is trafficking something, if they're driving a load and they can say, well, I never looked at it, I don't know exactly what it is, that's not enough to protect them. He's saying you've got a similar problem here where the assistant U.S. attorneys are saying, well, we're not sure that the fentanyl protocol applies because, we haven't stopped the vehicle. We're not sure that fentanyl's what's in there. But, he makes a very compelling argument that given the language that they're talking about and the history and all these other factors, agents have good probable cause in many instances to know that it's fentanyl, and that's where the protocol says it should be stopped. So I think that issue of willful blindness is one that has really, for him, kind of highlighted some hypocrisy in the federal government, and especially as he's seen some of these people involved promoted. The DEA supervisors that retaliated against him are now even higher within the agency. The assistant U.S. attorneys haven't been held accountable in any way. And again, it's something that kind of highlights that there's kind of one standard that we use when law enforcement is investigating and prosecuting, and another standard for their own actions, even if they really are contradictory and pretty hypocritical.
Of course, your organization, Empower Oversight, is looking into all sorts of issues beyond just David Howell and this DEA fentanyl Fast and Furious case. What are some important things you are looking into beyond David Howell's case?
Well, we're very small, so we usually only take on a couple of cases at a time. We were very happy that recently the Office of Special Counsel, which is the agency that Special Agent Howell went to and really kind of failed him here, where they agreed with the Justice Department's cover-up, but in a different case of ours, a whistleblower who's an attorney from within the Department of Education, we helped to expose how the Biden Department of Education was ignoring a court order. They were told not to implement and apply their Title IX guidance where they were coming into local school districts and really kind of bullying them, saying, hey, you should be interpreting this to include gender and gender identity. And the court told them, no, you have to, it was enjoined for a time. They told them not to apply that. And so that's really something significant that we were very happy about just a couple of weeks ago, a report really vindicating that whistleblower and finding that it was a really big deal that the Biden administration was ignoring these court orders. I think also this particular case is going to continue to get bigger and bigger. We are talking to additional whistleblowers, and we look forward to helping to make their information public and to assisting Congress as they kind of expose this in much more real time than an inspector general investigation, which usually takes at least a year, often a year and a half or 2 years. And so I think it's going to be a busy summer for those reasons.
Well, if listeners would like to help out with Empower Oversight's mission, what's the best way to do that?
So right there on our website, empoweroversight.org, people can donate. We are, just as a nonprofit, we operate off of the donations of members of the public. We are also in the process of developing a documentary about the IRS whistleblowers we represented who worked on the Hunter Biden case and helped come forward and expose the double standard of justice there. So there's also, as you first go on our website, a landing page that allows you to click through to that documentary we're making and support it there. People can buy that in advance. And again, that's something where all of the profits are coming to help us assist future whistleblowers. That's exactly what those IRS whistleblowers wanted. Gary Shapley and Joe Ziegler was to make sure that other people that were aware of wrongdoing in government knew that there was a place to come where they could be helped, and to try and ensure that we have the financial wherewithal to do that. And so they've donated all of the profits from a book that we helped them publish and from this documentary to help give people another reason to try and support what we're doing.
Well, that's my guest, Tristan Leavitt, president at Empower Oversight. You can find the organization at empower.us. That's EMPOWR.us. You can follow Tristan on X at Tristan Leavitt, linked in the description for you. Tristan, is there anything else you'd like to promote?
No, we appreciate the work you're doing to help expose this. And we do encourage people to follow. We're on just about every social media platform, not just X, but Facebook and Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. So please follow along if you're interested in these issues.
Thank you for your time. Really appreciate it.
I'm impressed with the duct tape. Impressed and hopeful.
Stand back and stand by.
Thanks again to our guest, Tristan Leavitt. Find his organization Empower Oversight at empower.us. That's EMPOWR.US. Follow Tristan on X at Tristan Leavitt, linked in the description for you. Any thoughts on fentanyl Fast and Furious, Mr. Palumbo?
I was planning on correcting you on the spelling of Empower, but I see the URL actually is OPR, so... OWR, I mean.
You think that I would have made that mistake.
How dare you?
Anyway.
Don't ever question my authority again.
Very, very highly regarded guest booking on your part.
Well, thank you. I compete with the best, so that's high praise. We will get back to Matt Palumbo's highly regarded bookings shortly. We do. I never tease what we have until it's actually realized. But if this next guest that you secured comes to fruition for this week, I am looking forward to that one as well. It'll be on a story that we've already discussed, but we'll get hopefully some clarity on something that was
I think he'll be
interesting.
Not to overpromise, but I guess I can save this because then if we get a different guest, I can just pretend he was the original guy. So it looks like I was right the whole time.
Well, you're setting up additional work for yourself, so be careful.
True.
But as my friend, actually, one thing remind me, Tim sent me a couple of chats that I apparently missed in the first super chat segment. So when we get to the super chat at the end of the show, remind me if you're one of those chats that I missed. I am aware of them. Sorry for delay. Again, we're working through this system. Hopefully, we'll get it fixed soon.
Actually, to reply, Skull asked, "When are we going to get Thomas Sowell on?" I was at when I was in California a few years ago. My brother and I went to Stanford's campus, which is where the Hoover Institution is, which is where Thomas Sowell works. And I showed up to his office to try to get his contact information, and he no longer physically works there. So I feel like that's the closest I could ever possibly get to maybe booking him, and it was a bust, unfortunately.
Well, we will work on Mitch McConnell next. That's who we'll get next week. That's your challenge. Reach out to his office, see what they say. You know, maybe we get the live Mitch McConnell interview everyone's been waiting for. But
maybe a staffer, or I don't know.
Hey, I'll talk to his staff too if they want to.
I'll write that down just in case.
As my friend Frank likes to say, I have just a grab bag of stories to get to before Hoax Hate, and I really do want to get through all of these because I think they're all interesting. So we'll try to finish the show in under 3 hours tonight, though it may be a challenge. But really quickly, I regret to report 2 more cases of illegal immigrant and or non-English speaking truck drivers crashing their big rigs to disastrous, or in one of these cases, fatal effect. In Jasper County, this is Northwest Indiana. Here's another name for you. Jose Rodriguez Hernandez Garcia. It's actually Emmanuel Lopez Tlacomulco? That's a hard one. What is T followed by L? Tlacomulco.
Tlacomulco.
Okay. He's a East Chicago man. That's who he is. Of East Chicago is Emmanuel. And he was driving a semi-truck and he ran a red light and he crashed into a car. And that car was then driven into another semi-truck, and a grandmother and her 3-year-old grandchild, so far unnamed, were badly injured and airlifted to a hospital. Emmanuel is an illegal immigrant, and ICE has placed a detainer on him upon his arrest. Of course, I don't know that the reporting even covers where he's from. Just East Chicago, I guess. I don't know what country he's actually
just
from.
Chicago man, Maryland man.
Yeah,
East
else. Chicago man. But in many of these cases, the illegal immigrant driver has a commercial driver's license from, say, California, New York. He just didn't even have a commercial driver's license, and he was driving around. So this is the first that I've seen where this guy was just straight up unlicensed and was still driving. But then we have Madison County, Ohio. This is west of Columbus. Terrible case here. 21-year-old college athlete Toby Forsyth was killed when a truck driver named Bekzad Azrarov crashed through the median barrier, crossed the median, and into the wrong lane on the interstate. Forsyth was 21 years old. Azvarov is an Uzbek national who entered the U.S. in 2024 through the diversity lottery. We're getting all sorts of Uzbek benefits. Remember the guy who rented the Home Depot truck in Manhattan and drove it down the running trail? He was also Uzbek, and also a diversity lottery guy, if I recall correctly. Yep. But this guy is, I guess, legal, or at least there's not mention of him being an illegal immigrant. Diversity lottery implies that he had some sort of legal entry and presence. But and he had an Ohio commercial driver's license, but he previously failed the English proficiency test. And when confronted by Ohio State troopers after the crash, he had to use Google Translate to communicate with them. And then he tried to hide his dash camera as well.
42-year-old Beksad Azarov now charged in the crash that killed Tobias. According to charging documents, the semi-truck driver rear-ended Tobias's car, drove through a median cable barrier, crossed the median, and drove onto the northbound lanes of I-71. Azarov is charged with tampering with evidence, accused of removing a dash cam from the truck. Troopers say they recovered the equipment after discovering the driver had it in his right pocket. Azarov now locked up behind bars. As friends of Tobias remember a young man who had so much to live for.
21 years old. He's just getting started with his life. So yeah, it's hard to see.
The diversity lottery becomes Russian roulette on the roadway, unfortunately.
Pretty much.
So Azarov is charged with tampering with evidence for, again, messing with his dash cam system and trying to hide the camera. Additional charges pending after the crash investigation and toxicology. So get to work deporting more people over at DHS, man.
Moving on it.
Yeah. We need to work faster. Yeah. Hannah Dugan maybe might meddle in your efforts. I don't know.
Yeah. I feel like, I know this is an extreme thought, but like, if you just, and this would only apply to an illegal alien who killed someone. If you just executed like one per day, how long would it take for self-deportations to just solve everything?
Well, no, the resilient are going to stick around and pick the strawberries because they're, despite the lethal threat, they are willing to do the jobs that Americans won't.
Damn.
So,
oh, God.
Here's a solution. Since they entered at random, start killing them at random in Minecraft.
I didn't say at random. I said if they killed someone else, you just do an extra.
I see.
Yeah.
So it's not just the presence. They have to be like a truck driver who crashed his truck.
But my theory for why that would work is because the liberal media would not distinguish between, they deserved it because they killed people. They would frame it as Trump is killing immigrants, and they would go, oh my God, I got to get out of here. Like the liberal media actually helps us when they do this hysterical stuff about ICE killing people because it makes people want to leave. And I'm all in favor of ICE. Like I want the DHS to be who the liberal media thinks they are, even though they're not. But the fact that they get reported a certain way helps us because they scare people out of the country.
Yeah,
not
maybe
enough,
it has been.
but it is helping.
The propaganda maybe has been serendipitously beneficial in that way.
So,
well, I want to talk about the gay cruise. Have you seen the story of the gay cruise of the Muslim world?
Super gay.
I didn't even know there are organized gay cruises, and it's hilarious that one of the companies organizing these gay cruises is Virgin Voyages. Not a lot of virgins on the gay cruise.
Not one.
They're not allowed. If there are any, they're hunted down immediately. Yeah. So you have 2,000 gays on a boat, on this particular boat, and it really sounds like a monkeypox recipe to me. A lot of liability, I assume, with the gay cruises. But the companies are taking the risk. And Virgin is one of those. Atlantis Events is another. I believe Atlantis is the one behind this ship. But there are several companies doing this. And this Atlantis ship is called the Scarlet Lady. And it's currently meandering the Middle East and the Mediterranean looking for a place to dock. Or at least it has been over the last week or so. Turkey refused to let the gays dock on July 7th. The Turks, in a statement translated, said that the gays on the ship are, quote, known for their behavior incompatible with our society's structure and moral values.
Good.
So the gays diverted to Alexandria, Egypt. But the Egyptians have also changed their mind at the last minute. The Egyptians also released a statement.
Many of those people probably have AIDS.
Here's commentary from one of the gays on the ship demanding answers and accommodation.
I'm on the gay cruise that was denied entry into Turkey. And it's like, so what? Who cares? If you want a great hair transplant, go to South Korea. So we redirect. We're going to Egypt now instead. Amazing. What an upgrade. Never been to Egypt. Booked my tour to see the pyramids. Wake up this morning. Denied entry into Egyptian waters as well. Now, this doesn't say explicitly because we're gay, but it's because we're gay. And I think it's just blowing my mind because it's like, I'm on this beautiful ship, 1,900 amazing men, but it's like, we're too gay to come spend a bunch of money in your country? I guess 3 thoughts. 1, I would love to hear from we don't need gay pride people. Don't we? 2, if you're a country watching this and you have ocean access, you host? We travel, and
you
3,
pitch, we catch.
Oh, Patty LaPone's on the ship, and she was pissed when she found out about Turkey. I'm truly scared for the country of Egypt when she wakes up and finds out about this.
She's like a Broadway actress. I'm sure she's in other stuff. I only know her from whenever she makes headlines. It's always saying some like shit lib nonsense. I don't actually know who she is. I just know she's in that world. But
no, just logistically.
Anyway, back to the story.
Logistically, who is designing gay cruises to the Middle East and who is participating in gay cruises to the Middle East? Why aren't you going to I don't know. I mean, I guess the Mediterranean is also Europe, but why would you why do these people, when he says, don't we need gay pride though? Don't we? Well, hey man, are you volunteering to go do the pride parade in Istanbul or Cairo? Because I'll watch the show, live stream it. Yeah. But I'm shocked that anyone signs up for that in the first place or bothers designing it.
Yeah. Also, his commentary that Egypt would be an upgrade from Turkey is definitely not true.
In terms of their treatment, probably not.
Well, just in terms of as a society, Turkey is, has European. I mean, it is also part of Europe, and it has some first world aspects. Egypt is a complete shithole.
When he says, too, don't you want our money? We have money. Don't you want it?
No.
Well, he's shocked. Whether you agree that this is the correct moral calculation or not, he is shocked that, yes, some people in certain places prioritize moral values over money. No, the dollar is not, in fact, the highest value. Moral truth is. Now, what is the moral truth here? They would say, and many would tend to agree, dicks don't go in butts. And that moral truth is prioritized over any dollar you may offer contrary to that principle. That's not how it works. Don't make me side with the Muslims. Okay. I don't want to say based Egypt, based Turkey. But what I will say is that for you to be beyond all the gay stuff here, for you to be baffled that people have moral lines that they're not interested in sacrificing for the sake of a dollar, that should not be shocking. The fact that that is shocking is itself an indictment on our society.
It's just so weird how, like, I think their minds are warped by intersectionality, where, like, the left has a coalition that's every group except white guys. So, like, the Palestine people think for some reason gay people think the Palestinians are, like, their cause. And there's just all these contradictions that make no sense. And
take the gay crews to Gaza. I'm sure the IDF will not let them through, but can we negotiate a way to let the gay crews end its nightmare? It's right there, right? They're already in the Mediterranean. Can't they just go over to Gaza? Let them through. Let the gay cruise guys tour Gaza and bring peace to the Middle East.
That'll fix it.
You'll like this one. I don't know if you saw this, but I love sports announcer, commentator flubs, mistakes. This one isn't even really a mistake, but it's being interpreted as a racist comment. So for the Atlanta Braves, the baseball team, color analyst CJ, wait a minute. He actually is the color analyst, which was funny based on what he's accused of saying here. Now the color analyst is like,
what does that
there's
mean?
The play-by-play guy, and there's the guy who adds the commentary. That's the color analyst.
Okay.
So, but color analysis is exactly what he's accused of doing here. CJ Nitkovsky was congratulating Braves right fielder Eli White on the recent birth of his child. And he loves the White family so much. Please, Eli, have more babies. I implore you. We need more babies born to the White family. He ended up saying the world is better with more whites.
It's a Jesse Lee
Congratulations to Eli on number 3. I was trying to talk him into more kids already when we were in San Diego. I know him and his wife, they're just such great people. I said, we need more great people in this world. So the more whites, the better off we're going to be.
He's absolutely right.
I wasn't joking. That is like an actual Jesse Lee Peterson quote, but it was.
What did he say? We need more white babies?
Yeah. He'll write if sometimes if people make a pregnancy announcement on Twitter, he'll write back like, "Yeah, we need more white babies."
He's allowed to say it. I'm sure he gets away with it.
He's so funny.
Anyway, for people who don't know, he's black.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So color analyst indeed, this guy, but they're trying to say, number one, that he made that commentary. It's obvious he's saying, perhaps inartfully, I want more babies born to the White family, the family of Eli White. A select few are trying to make this controversial. They're saying he had that commentary prepped in a way specifically to make it deniable. And as part of their evidence, they're saying he once liked a Proud Boys tweet, which said that the U.S. women's hockey team, a U.S. women's hockey team player made an OK sign, the white power sign, they say. So this guy's a secret white nationalist who's doing color commentary for the Braves just to encourage white people to have babies, is the theory here, I guess.
He probably didn't even know what the Proud Boys was. He probably just agreed with the tweet. But
yeah, I don't know.
This is very silly.
Get him on the show. Add him to the guest list if he wants to defend his own.
It was my favorite case of attempted compliment gone wrong. It was like some morning show, and so it's a black anchor, white female anchor, and they're like covering a zoo, and there's a picture of a chimpanzee, and the white anchor is like, "Oh my god, it's so cute," and then she points at the black anchor, it's like, "It looks just like you," and then. The next day, she was like, he gave it a crying apology and like clearly meant no ill will whatsoever. But it was just weird. The black guy wasn't like, no, it totally looks like me. Don't worry. Like it did. Like it's not racist to point out. There are humans who look like other animals. It's not racist. Like Sarah Jessica Parker looks like a horse. It's not racist to point out, you know? Anyway, enough of that.
She does have a horsey face.
She does have a horse face. So does people Trump talks about.
Well, I want to talk about the bison. I don't know if anyone has a bison face. That'd be a pretty deformed human face, but maybe somebody.
Yeah.
I guess if there are horse faces, there might be bison faces. Anyway, I want to get into the bison story. I don't know what kind of transition I'm working on here, but every year in Yellowstone, okay, you get a few idiots who are trying to take photos with bison, who, of course, as with any animal in Yellowstone, that's a wild animal. No matter how calm they may look, and bison often do, they are big, they are fast, they are strong, they can kill you. If you get too close, you piss them off, you will pay the price, you will get gored. You will have an impromptu rodeo event, and you will be the star, and it will end very badly for you. And when I first saw this image over the weekend, this event that happened on Friday, I thought that's what happened here. Another idiot tried to take a selfie too close to a bison and paid the price. This happened at a campground that's on the shores of Yellowstone Lake in the park. And this is the biggest bison launch I've ever seen. Again, you see a few a year, especially you see it in local media here because we're close to the park and everybody knows this happens with some regularity. Not only is this the most air height I've ever seen anyone get in a bison goring in Yellowstone, but it actually is a case where the guy who got launched didn't do anything wrong. He is, as far as I've seen, a still unidentified older man. And when you look at the full video, he actually did maintain what looks like a safe distance from this bull bison, but the bull gets up. I was joking with my family. Have you ever seen Cocaine Bear? That's a movie I have seen. Cocaine Bear just covers incredible ground and attacks people. A cocaine-fueled black bear in Tennessee or wherever that happened, or Georgia maybe. And this is Cocaine Bull. Cocaine Bull just gets up, chases him down, and launches him. The headline here says 8 feet in the air. That bison's head, the top, like where his left hand is, the top of that bison's head is probably like 6 feet off the ground. They're big animals. Biggest North American animal of them all, in fact. So I think this guy, certainly his feet are higher than 8 feet or maybe even 10 feet. Now, there is no sound to this video, but this is what the scene looked like. Again, this is Friday night, and you'll see bison like this just lounging around all the time. Sometimes they'll even, that's the guy with the big long beard and the suspenders in the background there. And you'll see bison kind of get energized and do this rolling around thing. They kick dirt up. All right. They do this all the time. This is something I've never seen before. It apparently charges this truck that's passing by in the campground. The truck's like, all right, I'm out. And the bison's like, well, I already ran this far, so I got to charge something. And he starts chasing the grandpa and the grandkid. God. And grandpa and grandkid are escaping as they're doing Ring Around the Rosie around this patch of trees here.
Yeah, what do you do?
The bull takes it out in this young tree and eventually catches up with grandpa here. Go around one more time. And this is just a brutal launching. I mean, unbelievable. I've never seen anything like this.
Oh my God, bro.
Then bystanders, the guys who took the video actually with others yelled at this bison to get him out of there because the bison could have trampled him or gored him more. That is a massive launch and cartwheel flip for what looks like a fairly old man. Now, unbelievably, so they get the bison out of there. He is alive. Yeah. This is all according to the guy who took the video, who's apparently a professional photographer here in Bozeman. His name's Mike McLeod. I don't know him, never heard of him. But speaking of guests for the show, maybe he wants to talk.
This guy down.
Let's talk bison goring.
Cocaine bison guy.
Yeah, you saw the cocaine bull. So according to this photographer McLeod, the guy landed, the older man who was gored. He was in a lot of pain, his hips and leg. But they couldn't see any external injuries. They didn't identify any obvious bleeding. He did get to the hospital. His grandson says he has some pretty significant injuries. He's not out of the woods, but he didn't have obvious injuries to the people immediately responding. And it wasn't like a massive bloody scene or something. I think the implication here is that he was, he wasn't knocked out or something. He was mentally present and able to communicate, it sounds like.
Jesus.
So just an unbelievable scene. Now, as far as why this bison in particular was so aggressive, it is the bison rut. That's June through September. So bison bulls surge with energy and aggression, and they compete for dominance and for females. And so the photographer in the story, you can read it in Cowboy State Daily, says this bison just kind of strutted into the campground, clearly just pissed off already. He was just looking for a fight.
Just having a bad day, looking for trouble.
Yeah, a very angry bison, and took it out on a grandpa. I've never seen one like this. This is the craziest goring in Yellowstone that I've personally seen in my years of paying attention to these stories.
Crazy. Jeez, man.
All right. One more before we get to Hoax Hate. And we got to talk about the actions of certain police officers in Fort Worth and how they handled a street preacher. And this, the events that are involved here are actually, they're at a Pride event that was at the end of June. It was June 27th when this incident took place. Video has gone viral this past week through libs of TikTok and other accounts. And in particular, what's gone viral is video of a female police officer threatening to cite and or arrest this street preacher for his offensive speech, is what she described. So it was Trinity Pride Fest in Fort Worth. The street preachers, there are two of them, Richard Penkoski and David Gresham, were protesting on the sidewalk. And I believe, I grabbed it, I think David's shirt here, the back says "Homo sex is sin." So they had provocative t-shirts as well. But clearly they are going out to protest this Pride event in Fort Worth, maybe with some provocative messaging, but there's no indication that they did anything violent, threatened people. They don't like the event or what it stands for. They clearly have statements against it. They basically stand guard in Turkey and Egypt and say, no, you may not dock here.
You may not pass.
That's their day job. But they are the ones who had this encounter with this female police officer. We don't know the female police officer's name. Her uniform, as we'll see in the video, reads Stogner. I assume that's her name or last name on her uniform, but I don't know. She approaches them, threatens to ticket them for disorderly conduct. Quote, if anybody complains that their speech is offensive.
That ordinance means like music, not talking. If someone is offended by your talking, then we have a problem.
That is a constitutional violation of our rights. If you shut us down,
no. If they are offended by your speech, okay, then I'll write you the ticket, and then we'll go from there.
Wait, you're going to take us for offensive speech?
Yes, absolutely.
Are you serious?
You're going to cite us for
Yes,
offensive
it's called disorderly
speech.
conduct.
That's
whoa.
No. Disorderly conduct has to be accompanied by conduct.
This is the conduct.
I'm a
that you're
retired
doing.
police officer myself.
For who?
26 years, federal law enforcement.
So it's federal. So this has nothing to do with local.
Wow.
It has nothing to do with local.
Yeah. Well,
do whatever you want to think that you can do.
It says 80
whatever we
decibels.
think. Wow.
It says 80 decibels.
But y'all know the law so well, I'm not going to let y'all do whatever
So
you
I just want to clarify. If anything is said that's offensive, you're going to write a ticket?
If someone complains that your language or what you're saying is offensive,
The American people
I think
are
she's
tired
offensive.
of women.
You dumb bitch.
Arrest her on the spot.
Yeah, what's
Now,
the statute on that? Like, are you fucking kidding me?
she's clearly trying to make a disorderly conduct claim,
Yeah.
which the police department is trying to clean this up. Now, when she says, okay, well, that's federal. Well, okay, the First Amendment itself is federal, though, and
Yes.
actually does have a lot to do with local. I know maybe that wasn't the original design, but that's the way we've done it since incorporation. So you are, in fact, bound to the First Amendment, and so is the Fort Worth Police Department, ma'am. But in response to the incident, police say that they cited Gresham for use of his bullhorn, is what they're going with. So they're making this a sound issue.
The way he's complained.
Yeah, they're saying that he was being too loud with a bullhorn or using a bullhorn without authorization, and it was a neighborhood noise complaint. Not the content of the message, because, of course, the First Amendment prohibits them generally from making content-motivated distinctions in that way. But number one, as though the event itself wasn't generating almost assuredly more noise than they were with their bullhorn. This is a large event downtown. And number two, the cop, that's not what we heard her say there. She didn't say, hey, if you guys are too loud with your bullhorn, I'm going to have to arrest and or cite you for disorderly conduct. She said, as we heard, if anyone is offended by the content of the message, that will get cited for disorderly conduct. That is not being too loud. And so the Fort Worth Police Department is now trying to clean this up and saying, well, we do acknowledge that one of our police officers made certain statements that are not accurate, so we're going to renew our training for cops who are currently on the job and new recruits and make sure they are aware of First Amendment protections and related legal issues involving free speech protesters and similar activity. Harmeet Dillon, the Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, said on X that she is looking into this. Maybe we've heard a lot from the federal Justice Department saying they're going to correct these sorts of things, crack down on these sorts of things. In my experience, mostly we just get tweets, but I would love to be proved wrong about that. The other complicating factor legally is that the Pride event was a permitted downtown event. So from the police perspective, they're saying, no, it's not the content of the message. It's the fact that they were too loud. And it's the fact that this was a permitted, organized event. So the organizers of the event are entitled to that permitted space, meaning they can control who enters and they can kick people out. It is their discretion as permitted organizers. There's another encounter with David and a police officer here who is saying exactly that. Hey, man, it's not that you can't protest. It's that nobody can protest within the area that the Pride organizers have essentially rented from the city. Here's that argument.
Settlement was that I could preach anywhere on a public street that's free and open to the public in downtown Fort Worth. Okay, that's on Grisham versus Fort Worth.
But you're not in downtown.
This is
This is a closed event to whoever they decide they don't want anybody in here, they have a permit. So if you want to preach, you will have to be outside the barricades.
So,
like, if you want to stand right there and preach, stand right there and preach.
So, if we preach inside, what will happen?
You'll be asked to leave.
And if we don't leave, what will
You'll
happen?
be arrested for criminal trespass.
Be arrested
on the street here?
On a public street, for being on a public side.
When somebody has a permit, yes. Okay. They're authorized to let whoever they want in, kick out whoever they want.
So the problem for the city is they don't get him on noise or trespass, at least as the described basis for the citation. Again, per that female cop, the described basis for the citation was viewpoint, as she said it. But maybe you have some insight on this, Matt. I don't know. Now, I understand that public property can be essentially rented by event organizers and they can control who enters and leaves, but there have to be certain limitations on that, I imagine. I'm not sure what the case law says about this, but it's got to be out there. Like, what if I get a permit and suddenly decide, sorry, no blacks? Just I prefer not. We need more we need more white babies, as the Atlanta Braves guy said. And I just decide no blacks. Or I do a reverse pride, no gays.
Yeah.
Or no Republicans or no Democrats if you just want viewpoint.
Well, I mean, and I'm just repeating what you said, but they had already revealed their hand in that the real motivation was ideology, not, you know, they're trying to justify it after the fact. Like, I'm not aware of any other case where if I had a right-wing protest and a left-winger comes up with a sign, I can't think of any case where I would ever get to say, oh, I permitted this, so you have to leave. And also, too, even if that was true, well, is it the guy who applied for the permit specifically who gets that dictatorial power to say who gets to say and who doesn't? Is it a random person within the event who ideologically aligns, just happens to get that power bestowed on them? None of that makes any sense whatsoever.
I don't believe that Fort Worth would grant a permit, nor do I believe they could legally if the organizing principle of the event was exclusion of people based on race, religion, sexual orientation, ideology. I don't buy for a second that, say, if the street preachers got a permitted event that said no homos, and then the guy from the ship in the Mediterranean showed up and wanted to protest or wanted to walk around in there freely, they would say no. But you're exactly right. Who has the police power of allowing people in, kicking people out? According to the street preachers, nobody from the event, the organizers of the event, actually asked them to leave. That female cop just took the power upon herself, which she admits. Listen to this.
But it's a public event and we're not allowed to go inside?
They don't want you here.
How do you know that? We haven't even stepped foot in.
Okay, stop asking me questions.
No, we're asking you because you said that we cannot go into a free public event, and we haven't even stepped foot in. They haven't even said we couldn't be there yet. You came out of the vehicle and said that we cannot go into the event. No one in the event said that we cannot step foot in there. No one said that yet.
Right, because we're trying to prevent that.
So are we allowed to step in there or not?
You don't have, you are allowed to do whatever you do. You can use your First Amendment right, but you can't go past this barrier. You're not here to support gay pride.
Yeah, but no one said we can't be in the event yet.
I'm telling you can't be in the event yet.
But we have, see, that's,
you are making
so,
up your own rules.
Yeah, you're making up your own laws.
So it's just, I'm telling you.
This is like, if they are litigious, and I hope they are, this is a gold mine for them. This is going to fund their ministry for the next decade.
Well, I did hear David, the guy with the homosexist sin shirt, when he said that's Grisham versus Fort Worth, he's referencing a prior lawsuit or legal action he had against the city. So they've done it before.
Perfect.
But yet you have police in this case, and I'm not even taking the street preacher, I'm not listening to their claims, I'm listening to what the police officer just said there. Police obstructing citizen access to public places based on viewpoint. You're not here to support gay pride.
Yeah.
Therefore, I'm not allowing you to walk in downtown Fort Worth and or say what you want to say within reason, within the confines of the content neutral rules that apply, your noise level, or, certainly whether you make threats to people or something like that. But it's an unbelievable standard here that I haven't seen recently. You cannot cross this line in a public place unless you believe the right thing, not because the event organizers say so, but because this chick cop says so.
Yeah. I guess to get my weekly Norm Macdonald reference in, gay pride, it's a very weird thing to be proud of.
All right. I was looking for my ostrich laugh. I couldn't find it.
He has more commentary. I just look up.
Here we go. Sorry, it's delayed.
Look up Norm Macdonald, Dennis Miller, gay pride. It's 2 minutes long. Really, really funny bit.
Yeah. So we'll see where this case goes. I hope Justice Department does look into this. This is exactly the sort of viewpoint discrimination that the First Amendment prohibits. And here they are doing it openly in Fort Worth, allegedly an American city of American values, but a lot of places are becoming questionable these days. All right. Time for Hoax Hate.
And now, the nobody saw it happen, but it's totally a product of Trump's America hoax hate crime of the week.
Ah, shit, it's backwards.
Oh, this story is maddening.
This is a Matt Palumbo hoax hate submission.
Dude, these people think Get Out was a documentary.
I never saw that one. It's a movie. I don't know what happened in it.
It's a Jordan Peele movie where you'll never guess the bad guy. It's racism. Whoa, no way. It's every fucking movie he makes. But anyway, back to this story.
Over the 4th of July weekend, last weekend, a black teenager died off the coast of Mississippi in a place called Horn Island. Now, this Horn Island is remote. It's not far off the coast, but you boat there, and there's no development on the island. There's no electricity. There's no plumbing. There's no, I don't know if there's cell phone signal or not. It's just a place people go, I guess, to hang out, maybe party, whatever. 18-year-old Nolan Wells was boating out there with his friends, and his friends are white. And his friends came back from the trip without him after he went missing. Authorities recovered Nolan Wells' body on Monday off the island shoreline. Investigation is underway. Jackson County Sheriff John Ledbetter says no evidence yet points to foul play, but the investigation is ongoing, so they've reached no conclusions. We still don't know the cause of death. Still, Al Sharpton and Ben Crump have airdropped in to claim that this is clearly a racist murder.
The mother of 18-year-old Nolan Wells spoke about the son she lost earlier this week after he was found dead following an outing to Horn Island with friends to celebrate the 4th of July. At her side Friday in New York were well-known civil rights activists, Reverend Al Sharpton and attorney Ben Crump.
What we've been told does not make sense.
Both suggest racism is playing a role, as Wells appears to be the only black friend in a group of mostly white teenagers. They also say there are too many inconsistencies in the other teens' stories.
A young woman he was talking to says that, well, Nolan said he was going back to get on the boat with the boys. The boys say that Nolan told them he was going to stay and talk to the young woman. It's a contradiction.
The family also questions why the other teens had possession of Wells's car keys and cell phone.
I asked him, he said he went and looked, and so when he said he couldn't find them, I did what I needed. I left out of their home. And like I said, 5 minutes later, he come back out with the keys.
A press release says this is being investigated as a death, not a homicide.
So these guys have been friends for years, but it's all because the white guys were building trust with him to one day take him to an island to kill him for racist reasons.
Yeah. I'll preface this by saying I'm not racist. I have black friends. None of those black friends can swim. Not one.
Bingo.
And I'm going to go ahead and say that's probably what is going on here.
Well, Ben Crump, okay, let's even consider Ben Crump's point. We've got contradictory claims of what happened. Okay, so Nolan, the black guy who died, said he was going to talk to a girl who was out on the island, I guess. A girl said he was going back with his friends. So there's a contradiction in the story.
He went there, he was coming back, he drowned. That's probably what happened.
Even if they had different misunderstandings, yeah, oh, I thought he was staying there, oh, I thought he was going there.
Yeah.
How does that demonstrate a racial motive? First of all, how does that demonstrate killing him intentionally or negligently or recklessly?
Yeah.
And second of all, how does it demonstrate any kind of racial motive? In fairness to them, there are some oddities in the case. Why did these friends have the phone and the keys, which they did? Nolan did not. That wasn't found in his body. Yeah. You have a good theory on that?
I don't know.
Maybe
I mean, was he wearing swim trunks? If it was going to be in shallow water but not swimming, I don't really know. It's just I don't. There's no theory for how the murder would have happened. Exactly.
I love this headline.
It's just like the evidence for the murder is, or that it's a murder, is just he was with white people who considered him a friend and brought him along with them.
Don't worry. Don't forget. It was also in the South. That's the LA Times opinion headline.
Oh,
Black man dies mysteriously in the South. Assume nothing. Because if it happens in the South, it's obviously racist too.
Damn.
But okay, so there's the phone and the keys. Why did his friends have those and he didn't? The family alleges that the phone had Snapchat videos deleted off of it. Now, I will note that Snapchat videos, don't they self-delete? Isn't that I don't use Snapchat. I'm not
But
cool.
there's got to be, Snapchat has to back all that up anyway somewhere, I'm assuming.
They're alleging or implying that his friends deleted videos from his Snapchat account. I don't know if that's true. Ben Crump also says that there's video out there of a heated argument before his death, but the video's not out publicly. We don't know who was arguing or about what, and the claim is also according to Ben Crump. And
So,
I won't believe
the-
anything he says at face value.
So the phone would have to not be password protected, which I guess I don't know the odds of that.
Or they know the password
Or they
for
know
some
the
reason.
password. Also, maybe they were just helping a brother out, and there was really embarrassing stuff they were deleting. So they're like, we don't want you to remember for this stuff, man.
Maybe.
Get rid of it. I'm joking on that explanation, but
Well,
no, there's
it's
just no
actually
evidence
not.
here for
I assume they all went out to the island together because they are in fact good friends, not because they hate him. So
And wanted
if
to
there
kill
was a
him.
way to protect him after his death, maybe they would do something like that. But what's going on here? Almost assuredly a combination of young partying gone wrong. All right, what do you think they're going out to this island? A bunch of 18-year-olds on a boat to
Right.
do? What do you think? What substances do you think
Yeah.
are a part of that arrangement? Maybe there is an argument. Maybe Ben Crump is right about that. You've drank a bunch, smoked a bunch, whatever. You get in an argument. It's related to that young partying gone wrong. Now, whether there was some kind of fight that maybe resulted in an accidental death, or to your point, maybe, hey, bro, I'm heated. I'm going for a swim. And then he remembered that he can't swim,
yeah,
but
can't do
especially
that.
can't swim when he's had too many drinks or smoked a little too much or whatever. And so the other boys, why are they not talking? Why don't we hear what really happened? Well, for exactly the reason we're watching with Ben Crump and Al Sharpton and the rest, there is going to be criminal scrutiny on these guys immediately. And maybe there should be. Maybe there was some recklessness. Maybe there was some negligence. Do I believe, based on what we've been presented here, that this was an intentional murder that had racist components to it? No. But let's say that they were roughhousing too much on the boat, or they got in an argument on the boat and a guy shoved another guy and he ended up in the water and the current grabs him and he dies because they were being idiots while they drank too much. I could certainly see a situation like that. That's why they shut up, is because even if they didn't intend to kill him, there are ways they could be criminally responsible for the death when they didn't intend for the death. So any lawyer they talk to is going to say, shut the hell up.
Yeah.
And they have.
Well, if you're ever accused of anything publicly or really in any capacity, you're supposed. I mean, the advice I hear is if you're guilty, get a lawyer. If you're innocent, get a lawyer. It's just they're going to know what to do better than you are. And The one other piece of evidence, quote unquote evidence I've seen lobbied against the Friends is that they have deleted their social media after this. And
I would too.
Well, of course they have. It's first of all, they're getting 10,000 messages wanting to kill them. Second of all, anything they've ever said in the past is going to be twisted to help us. If someone made a black joke in 2009, that is the proof that they are racist monsters, blah, blah, blah. So,
last thing on a related note, I don't know this actress. She's in movies that I've never seen. Do you know Jenifer Lewis?
No.
She's in something called Blackish. I don't know what that is.
About.
But she released a video recording her reciting a poem demanding that, just like in this case, the Nolan Wells case, please, white people, stop killing our black children.
Stop killing our children, son of a bitch. We don't care if you think you're rich. We love our children and the color of their skin, and we're getting tired of being called as the next of kin. You twisted monsters are going too far. Don't you know your own children will suffer if you keep magnifying this civil war?
That's incorrect.
They really live in a completely parallel reality to us. And this is never going to end. We can kiss their asses for the next 10,000 years. In 10,000 AD, Emmett Till will still be spoken about as if it happened last Wednesday. This is never ending. You can never accommodate these people. We can pay out the world GDP in reparations 100 times over. It's all going to get spent in a week, by the way. But nothing is ever going to get fixed here at all. Ever. It's not a fixable problem. These people are just fucking delusional. Sorry for swearing.
What are you talking about? Swear all you want. You just can't say chimp out.
I know it's trashy. It's just we're late into the show.
Listen, stop chimping out. Okay.
Sorry.
Stop with the orangutan tantrum. And let's get back to the facts.
Orangutan tantrum. I'm a watermelon felon now.
Okay. Point of fact, nobody kills black children like black moms through abortion. Okay. Yeah. Let's talk about that. Nobody kills black children like other black children. When we hear the claim that guns are the #1 cause of children's deaths, you mean 17-year-olds shooting each other in the South Side? Those are children's deaths. Yeah. So, stop killing our black children, son of a bitch. You say to the other black children as far as the data are concerned. And point of fact, it's interesting to see the numbers displayed in scale here. This is from NWokeness on X, but it's DOJ crime statistics from 2018. They actually do maintain interracial violence statistics, which I haven't looked up before, though it's not surprising. Black on white interracial violent events in 2018. It's not just murders, but you beat somebody up or you commit some sort of violent robbery on them or whatever. There were over 500,000 of those in 2018. Black on white, white on black, something like 10%, under 60,000.
There's 4 times as much of us.
Yes.
So the per capita, you multiply the difference by 4, and I think, unless my math is off, but I believe you just multiply the difference by 4, and that's the real ratio.
I'm going to make another poem for that lady. Start understanding per capita, son of a bitch.
They can't, man. You literally cannot explain it to them.
There's a lot of space in that afro for the brain power to comprehend per capita.
Have you seen, too, that the numbers for sexual assault specifically and rape are the most stark in that there was a famous interview Gavin McInnes did where he quoted the numbers to some liberal woman, like there's like 30,000+ black on white rapes per year. But the white on black, I think Gavin said, is like 6 cases a year. And I thought, like, that's crazy. So I looked up the numbers.
That sounds insanely high to me. I can't believe there are that many.
That was the high year. In most years, it's 0. He picked the highest year was 6. So Gavin was being generous in saying 6. In most years, it's 0 recorded cases, which is insanity. Wow. Like you'd think statistically, some guy there would be at least one.
You'd think at
year.
least like Graham Plattner would rape a few black chicks a year.
Exactly.
I mean, come on. He rapes everybody
they're all
else.
Sargon. They wouldn't even rape them. So,
right. Okay. Well, that's all I got. We need to try to figure out Super Chat here. So let me, before I forget, let me get into our Super Chats that I missed, because otherwise I'll forget to come back to them. And of course, they've been waiting the longest. So thanks to producer Tim for grabbing these chats. He's okay. So we have Spirit of Lexington. Not a good week for Grams. What was the other Graham?
Lindsey Graham, Graham Plattner.
Oh, duh. I just talked about him raping people. Yeah,
Yes.
It was. Thank you. So it was a very rough week
No
for
problem.
Grams. Indeed, you're right. Fook off. Hopefully my new username. So now it's. I think it's Fook off. I got to zoom in to see it. No, Miss Fook off. My new username will stop you guys from always assuming I'm a guy. That's true. Just statistically, I assume every person listening is a male because there are very few women. But now I know. Nice to have you. Thank you for upping our diversity quota. Miss Fook off. Sorry to assume you're a guy. Sorry for misgendering you. Even though Miss or MS could also mean Master of Science. And I have an MS in physics. Wow, a female in STEM, no less.
It's checking a lot of boxes for us.
Very rare prize.
Yeah.
Sorry to misgender you all this time, but thanks for your support for the show. Oh, I think there was one more before I missed it.
Is that the only woman that watches our show?
There are very few, but there are a select few. The best women on the planet, of course.
Easy.
Injured Guardian says, guest kin to Caroline. Oh, as in, is the guest related to Caroline Leavitt? I didn't ask and I don't know.
No.
P.S. Smith & Wesson SWA 24S. Is that a Smith & Wesson? Let me look it up. Smith & Wesson. I don't know my Smith & Wessons generally. Oh, it's a knife. So this is a knife I should pick up, I guess.
I have one.
Looks
Smith
like
&
it'd
Wesson
be
one.
super good at stabbing.
I think
and
I have
cutting.
that. Hold on.
So I guess that is this a suggestion? Just get
I
that.
might have
knife
that one
or-
actually.
Is that exactly it?
Is it? I don't know.
Let's put it up bigger. Can you get that closer to the camera?
It might be.
And it is a Smith & Wesson, yeah?
Yeah.
It looks exactly like it. Very close.
Yeah.
Okay, well, who knows? I guess we need a Smith & Wesson endorsement. Let's
It's
see
the
if we-
only kind of Smith & Wesson you can own in New Jersey.
I'm surprised that is legal.
Yeah.
Okay, let me get back into YouTube, and then we'll round out again with Rumble and Tippy. And again, thanks for everybody's patience with the Super Chat difficulties. I'm going to try to have this figured out next week, and hopefully there won't be any more nonsense, but, you know, the duct tape always rolls on. Let's see. We got Aaron. Again, congrats to Aaron and his family on their second child. Jameson Murer. Whenever you look at anything the left stands for or does and think this doesn't make sense, all you have to do is remember that the left wants to destroy America and suddenly it makes sense. I hate for things to be that simple, but yeah, I mean, on Wednesday we watched a clip from a meeting of various leaders across the country of the Democrat Socialists of America, the DSA. Have
They
you
hate
seen?
the country. Yeah, they're insane. I mean, they admit what they're really about.
They're just talking about overthrowing the
do it.
country. They're a bunch of trannies, many of them obese, talking about overthrowing the country. And it's easy to laugh at them like, oh my God, like, what are they going to do?
A
What are
lot,
they-
actually.
But that-
Infiltrate every aspect of society.
And that's
Like,
exactly what they're talking about doing. And that's what they've done. They are influential within the Democrat Party. Their candidates are winning. It's very easy to point and laugh at these obese troons, but these obese troons are making political progress, their view of progress. They're achieving things politically. So they got to be stopped.
Yeah, like most public school teachers, HR departments, college admissions offices, it's all these people. Like there are entire institutions that are ideologically captured by people who think like this or are ideologically adjacent to them. And we don't really have a right-wing equivalent.
Jameson Murer adds, "You are gay, LMAO." Isn't really about Charlie. It's about Tyler Robinson and Governor Spencer Cox.
True.
That's true. It was him. It was Governor Cox who said that.
You are gay, LMAO.
Great delivery. I don't know how he said that at the podium without cracking a smirk, but if you go back and watch,
it felt bad. Yeah.
he didn't. Stone-faced the whole time. And his name is Cox. Okay, how is that not hilarious? How is he not laughing? VV says, when Candace interviewed Andrew Tate, she went full softball with him, which was a red flag. Whatever you think of Tate, he's tough enough that she could give him a serious interview. She can't be trusted. I haven't seen that interview. You know, I'm familiar with who Andrew Tate is, but so I don't know how she handled it. I will say, and this is not a defense of her interview with Andrew Tate or her in general, but as someone who's not done a ton of interviews, and I've done several this year thanks to the highly regarded efforts of Matt Palumbo and producer Tim before Matt Palumbo took over guest booking duties. I do think it's difficult to strike the right balance between allowing the guest to talk and challenging the guest. I don't ever want to come off as leading the audience to conclude something about the guest. I would rather the audience hear the guest talk and decide for themselves what they think of the guest than for me to be injecting my opinion to you that you must think that about this person. If they say something that's obviously factually incorrect, the sky is red, all right, sure. But if they're just going on about their opinion, I try to be pretty restrained in my willingness to intervene, even if I think it's bullshit, because I think we should hear it out. I don't know if that's what Candace did with Andrew Tate or not, but I will say that even if the person being interviewed is saying absolute crap, I still prefer the person conducting the interview to be restrained in their own commentary, because the point of the interview is hearing the person being interviewed talk. Yeah. So I don't like to go too far with the you should have challenged, you let them get away with, like, all right, I mean, just listen to them and decide if you agree or not. But
yeah, when I'm on the interviews, I try to, if I ever have like an opinion on something, I try to funnel it into a question or a reaction that would be, beneficial to the audience. But no, the interviews are for the guest, and there are some guests we've had that I thought the audience would love, and the comments clearly disagreed. But I think overall, I've been finding people that you guys like.
Well, it's like, and you don't have to love I haven't loved every person I've talked to, but part of the guest segment is hearing. First of all, I want to hear from people who are in the stories. Like tonight's, I think it's very interesting to hear from people who are directly involved in this story, which is something I don't often get to do. It's also just about networking in a world where YouTube and the rest of the platforms tend to put me and us in a little box that's very hard to find new people in. That sort of networking is a way to talk to people who might otherwise never encounter what I make. So there's a strategic angle there too, But yeah, the expectation, it's impossible to deliver guests that everyone loves, nor should you want to. Like if you love that's not an interesting show if everything you hear is what you agree with fully, and there's nothing. You should hear something at least once a show is like, that's bullshit, and I'm going to think critically about why. You should. That's a healthy show.
There is one comment I'll see sort of sometimes criticizing us for not covering a certain topic or aspect of a topic that the person commented is very, very knowledgeable or almost obsessed with. And I'm like, well, okay, sometimes they might have a blind spot, but if it's something you already are an expert on or know about, do you really need me to say what you already believe?
Yeah, there's one pursuant to that. Now we're getting into kind of strategy here, but sometimes you don't talk about something and people assume that you deliberately avoided it. Sometimes I just don't know. Most of the time
we're just dumb. Yeah.
Sometimes I don't have a ton of time to look into every detail of a person's background during the week. So what I try to do, one thing I'm trying to do to the extent time allows, give a guest, especially if we're talking about a particular story like tonight or something, hey, is there anything that I didn't ask about that you think is important? Because they might have something to say that is just not even present in your mind. So that's one thing I'm trying to work in, is maybe a little bit of open-endedness to allow guests to take it where they think matters rather than where I think matters, because they might know things that you have no idea about.
Exactly.
So anyway,
we're doing our best.
It's highly regarded, many say. Really? Taker 610. And thank you, VV. SNL did a skit making fun of former Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad when he claimed there were no gays in Iran. There's about to be 1,900. Can they go through the Strait of Hormuz?
Probably not. It's the gay of Hormuz now.
Right. What about the gays of Hormuz? We haven't tried that. VV says there's a lot of cops who there's a lot of cops like this who simply exist to bootlick the militant and flamboyant left and enable their authoritarianism. That chick cop is begging for a fight that she can't win.
No.
You know, but, well, I guess she might. She might shoot that guy.
But, yeah.
She'll try to pull her taser and she'll pull her Glock instead. That's the only way.
Hope you're wearing your bulletproof vest.
Jameson Muir also adds, call those cops what they are, little petty tyrants. It's that was not a good showing for them.
Yeah.
And
like I'm pro cop, but it's when they enforce the actually good laws, or the ones that exist, I should say, in this case.
Policing is necessary. It deserves it. It requires accountability too. But this is there are police mistakes, police misunderstandings. They need accountability for that. I can't remember a time where I heard a cop so confidently saying things that were flatly unconstitutional, though.
Yeah.
Not that all cops are perfect servants of the Constitution. Of course they're not. But I don't hear them on duty discussing it in the way this female cop was, with such confidence.
And then it's like when she was like, oh, you were a federal cop. And I'm like, well, I mean, I know it doesn't necessarily work like this, but isn't being a federal cop harder than being like a local cop in terms of difficulty of getting to that place, like knowledge base? I would assume it is, but
results say otherwise. I would say.
Okay, all right.
I don't know. You're the Fed here. You tell me how difficult
I have no idea
the job application is. I don't know.
I just do paperwork, man.
Esoterica Unbound. Been listening to the show while attempting to repair my water heater. So far, I've avoided flooding the house or shocking myself. That's great.
Good.
But I do have a new head wound. One reason I don't plumb professionally. Did you bump your head? Is that what happened? Now, I've never actually, I've not done a lot of water heater stuff. Last time I had to replace one, I had a reliable plumber kid come replace it for me. I know it's something you could do yourself if you want to do it, but a lot of risk too if you do it wrong, like you're saying. So Godspeed, man, and sorry about your head bump. VV also says, quick follow-up on the Candace Tate interview. Super chat. The interview was full of brown nosing from Candace. Okay, so that's separate than just
why did you have to say brown nose? Why not a different color?
No, why not nose of color?
Exactly.
In my opinion, it wasn't anywhere in the ballpark of how you gentlemen host your interviews. Well, I mean, ours are highly regarded. Thank you. We appreciate 100%.
That. Absolutely.
But I don't know. I've not been a Candace consumer for a long time, so I just don't know the style. Even though I don't like what I've heard from Candace, I also, like I said, I sort of hate the mandatory dogpiling. Like, you will condemn her, or you suck, you're a bad person. Not that VV is doing that. You're not. It's just I'm a little bit hesitant to jump on the dog pile for that reason.
Like, if someone has never commented on her, like, to me, if you're not endorsing them, you shouldn't have to condemn them. It's just kind of implied you're not agreeing with them by virtue of the fact you haven't agreed with them publicly. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it's an American trait, or maybe it's a human trait, that if you're told to do something, you just don't want to do it, even if you know it's the right thing. Like,
certainly part of it
people
for
like, you know
me.
what? Screw you. I'm going to pretend to like Candace now just to spite you.
If someone told me, hey, take good care of your boys and honor your wife, I'd be like, you son of a bitch. Stop telling me what to do. Only God does that. You shut the hell up. Esoterica Unbound. Whenever I hear Candace talk, I find myself sad that some poor son of a bitch is married to that attitude. Well, you want conspiracy theories, tinfoil. There are all kinds of... where's that? I have that one deep in here somewhere,
Sopranos.
Too. I think I
still need to finish that show.
He's a fag.
Forever.
It's alleged that there are certain oddities. It's alleged that her husband belongs on a...
I've heard stories to that effect, but it's all hearsay, so I wouldn't repeat it on the air.
Some say her husband is on the Mediterranean cruise that can't find a place to dock, but I can't verify those claims. No, I don't know. I actually don't know anything about that. I just know people say that. So, no, I am not seriously accusing Candace's husband of being gay. It's just people are saying. That's all.
Yeah. Same with my comments, and people are saying. Although with Candace, you don't need evidence for anything. So actually, they're both gay, and they're covering it up, and Egypt and Mossad are behind it.
Why is Egypt at the center of all these things all the time? They did the planes.
I don't know. They're not really big fans of Israel, so I never got why they would be in cahoots in this conspiracy. But anyway.
All right, we're good to move over to Rumble and Tippy if we're all set. We left off on Hottie Twerkman, so you got Millennial G? You need a second? I can grab it.
Millennial G. Not for the drama, but Candace has gone well past.
Wait, the one before that. The one before that. He has two, I guess.
Might be. Senator Graham was spotty on immigration and fiscal policy. but he was a reliable vote in the Senate for Trump and a useful ally, particularly for the reconstitution. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were... I misread that. For the reconstitution of the federal courts. Rest in peace to the sassy senator. For some reason, I thought he was trying to say the Constitution. I had a brain fart there. But yes, I agree.
He's also...
the sassy...
Right.
He's a egg.
Very good.
Laughing boy. Charlie was making master debater shirts because of South Park. I think he would be okay. I remember that. Yeah, he was mocked on South Park, and he was fine with that. I think he'd be okay with using the sounder. Also, Justin from Phoenix was on Viva Fry today and had a lot to say about the bullet. I know Justin has been making the rounds because Justin has been fighting with all the people. So, Justin Nazaroff from Phoenix Ammo, who's a friend of the show and has been on the show many times. In fact, he and I did a segment about ballistics back in January, somewhere in there. So we've had this conversation already. But he has been fighting a lot of the people that insist that there's no way that the 30-06 hit Charlie Kirk, and this is all... Here's the thing about the conspiracy theorizing that Charlie wasn't even shot. All right, like saying Tyler Robinson didn't do it is one layer, and okay, I'm willing to listen to alternative theories and especially evidence to the contrary. But what doesn't make sense to me about the theory that Tyler Robinson is clearly a patsy who didn't do it and is set up for somebody else who did. Let's say that I am whoever they think did it. It's Mossad. It's, I don't know, the CIA, whatever. If you wanted someone dead and you wanted to make it look like a murder, why would you do it in this public display? Like, we're going to get him with the microphone. We're going to make it look like a gun shot his neck. Yeah. You have hundreds, if not thousands of witnesses built into that plan. You have to have him, if you're going to get him with the heart attack gun, like you shoot him and you make it look like he died of natural freak causes. You don't want that many witnesses to what is a hoax assassination. Hoax in the sense, not that Charlie isn't dead, but hoax in terms of who did it. Yeah. Why would you put that on public display?
We need a guy to fire a gun, not to kill him, but to make the noise of a gun, so that then we can have an exploding microphone, but make it look like it's from the gun, and we can synchronize it perfectly. That's the theory, I guess.
To get Charlie to kill him, but then and Tyler Robinson is the fall guy. Why?
And who gave him the mic? I don't know.
Well, that's where Turning Point comes in. It's all Turning Point's fault. Yeah. They gave him the mic.
Of the South Park reference, I know that I think it was the week or the week after Charlie was murdered, they pulled their episode for the week. So I'm assuming there was a second Charlie Kirk episode in the works that they ended up pulling. I'm curious to know what it was they didn't want us to see, but we'll never know.
Purpose of the Ages, Matt. Purpose of the Ages, I believe, is in ministry, and yet he's going to dig into this filth here. All right, Matt and I once made love. Prior to our dual exotic asphyxiation, he whispered, "Don't worry, no one will ever find out. If we accidentally go, my fans promise to blame the left."
That's a big game, man.
I don't know that I've ever had an erotic asphyxiation super chat, but here we are. Thank you for that.
Millennial G Part 2. Not for the drama, but Candace has gone well past merely being wrong. She begged Tyler Robinson's defense team to work with her to inject her insane conspiracies directly into the trial. Total psycho.
Well, why is the defense team not working with Candace?
Correct.
This is a fair question.
She's too smart for them. They just don't get it, apparently. I wonder too, like, I know she's acting crazy objectively, but like, to say what she's saying, you kind of need to have a theory of mind for a schizophrenic person if you yourself are not schizophrenic. Like, you know, very talented authors can write in different voices of, you know, can have completely distinct characters. Is she a sane, intelligent person who just has the ability to think the way a schizo would and then sells it to her audience? Because some of the stuff she comes up with that she thinks to ask questions about, I'm like, not in 10 million years would I think to ask, why did 4 people wear maroon shirts at this event? Were they like, I don't know how you think of that.
I actually do admire people who can ask creative questions. Maybe Candace is one. It doesn't mean that you assume that there's legitimacy or meaning to every single question you ask. But I do appreciate, there is truth, like I said, to the idea that questions are keeping you free. You should always ask them. I do want to be careful of any implication that you're wrong to ask any question. It's really the extent to which Candace has gone that I think is the problem. But
she has this style where simply asking a question frames something as suspicious. So she could say something like, and I'm making this up, but she could be like, they drove Charlie to the hospital at 50 miles an hour. Not 51 miles per hour or 52 miles per hour. Exactly 50 miles per hour. Why not 55 miles per hour if it was so important to save him? And it's like, well, they had to drive some speed, but by merely asking all these questions, you make it look like there's something weird going on here.
There is a way to ask a question performatively that implies legitimacy that may not be there.
And listen, I'm for asking questions. I just want you to listen to the answer, because they ask all these questions, and if you actually answer them, the response is, "Oh, you really believe that?" And it's like,
Fed
yes,
slop.
I believe reality. Whatever.
You're a good little goy with your Fed slop.
I truly am. They're not paying me
collect
enough,
your
man.
7,000 and
They're
shut
not
the
paying
hell
me
up.
enough.
Hottie Twerkman. So much hate for the love boat. Maybe the Turks and Egyptians fear there are Trojans on board. There's, I actually bet there are no Trojans on board. I don't know. Do you think they bother with protection on the?
Probably not.
But there is a good there's a good joke there about Trojan horse. I like that. It's creative thinking.
Producer Tim, I think people are missing probably the most important part of the Bryon. Is it Byron or Bryon?
It's Bryon Noem. Yeah, it's just a weird spelling on Bryon.
Bryon Noem story. What psychopathic parent names their child Bryon, but with an O?
Bingo.
Spelling your kid's name in weird ways makes them have to explain the spelling their whole life. Yeah,
that's probably
or
true.
If your last name is Cox or Dick, can you change your last name and spare your bloodline like middle school and having to deal with that?
Just change it to penis and call it a day.
Yes, to be more honest.
But yeah, I'm sure Bryon did go crazy. No, it's Bryon with a Y and an O. Sir, what the hell are you talking about? I know it's my parents are.
We had this kid growing up. His name was Richard Reader, so everyone called him Dick Reader. You're screwed for life with that name, you know?
Tim says, you guys mentioned the OK hand sign. That's what blows my mind about Graham Plattner. The lefties crucified people for making the OK hand sign, saying it means someone is a Nazi. But what could Plattner have a Nazi tattoo mean? Might have made this point before. That's true, though. It's like he didn't know what the tattoo was, but he got the tattoo anyway. But everybody who is doing this knows they're making some secret white power acknowledgement. Yeah, I mean,
which deliberately was started as a joke because it so obviously was not a white power symbol. I mean, I know it's kind of inappropriated into one, but it really is not either way.
Last one from Tim. We'll call it a night.
May not be the point Norm Macdonald was making, but I do have to make a point about gay pride. If you need people to affirm your gayness or at least not criticize it, do you actually have pride? It seems like a personal shame you don't want to face. That's the thing I don't get about gay pride. Like,
he's
I can
absolutely
see
right.
Gay unashamedness and having this opinion of, in the past we've been mistreated, but there's nothing we're ashamed of. This is who we are. It's how we were born. That I respect. The whole pride part, I just don't understand what there is to be proud of. It's just a sexual preference.
To Tim's point, pride doesn't need affirmation.
Proud of?
The things that I'm proud of, and I know that pride in many contexts is a sin, so you never want to be prideful relative to God. That said, there are still achievements you may be proud of or things you hold dear in your life.
Yeah.
I'm proud of my family, for example, both my parents who raised me and the family that I am growing currently. But I don't need public validation for that. I don't give a shit what you think about my family. No disrespect to the listener, but there's nobody out there who has to validate my family for me. Like when you have pride in something, satisfaction in something, if pride is an inappropriate word given its kind of sinful context, you are content. You're satisfied. I don't need some outside person telling me my family's legitimate or not. I don't care. We're just fine without you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I don't need being straight validated. I mean, I guess what would be getting, what you should be prideful of is the fact that you could have children and do have children, but I don't know. It's just a bizarre thing to be proud of. I don't get it. And it also, I feel like it sets gay acceptance back, if anything. Like, there's no way a normal person sees the Folsom Street Fair and is like, that's what I want. That's perfect. Just what I want.
A bunch of healthy individuals with a bright future. Good for them. All right, we're going to call it there so I can squeak in under 3 hours. That is the goal here. So we're going to just barely make it. Appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. Thanks to our live chatters and super chatters for making the live show a success. If you're listening on demand later, thank you kindly as well for supporting the show. Thanks to our guest, Tristan Leavitt, president at Empower Oversight. Find Tristan's links in the description. Thanks to the highly regarded Matt Palumbo for joining. Find Matt's latest book and his X account linked in the description. Thanks to producer Tim for his assistance, especially with those missed chats. We'll try to fix the system for Wednesday and for Sunday. Find everything show-related at mattchristiansenmedia.com or mattis.gay if you prefer brevity. Hey, join the MC Club if you enjoy the show. A lot of supporter perks available for you there, and you help keep the duct tape production in operation. I will be back Wednesday and Sunday. Have a great night and a great week. Until then.
Good night.